What's happening, y'all? It is another Big Brown breakdown for UFC 210. Also featuring the one, the only TJ Dillashaw stops by in studio. It's a fun show, man, with TJ. He's one of my favorites. Obviously as a fighter, as a talent, but just an overall good dude. And when you guys hear the interview, I think you realize on how serious this guy takes his job and just kind of what he's doing to, I wouldn't say reinvent himself, but kind of just look for new ways to get better and give, the best TJ Dillashaw in the octagon he can. And some of the stuff he's doing, it was fascinating. I even wish some of the stuff we're talking about off air, as far as his diet and the juicing, not that juicing, like vegetable juice, for God's sakes. All that stuff I wish we would have recorded, but yeah, it's a good one. And other than that, man, still sticking to my diet. It is Tuesday here in Los Angeles, California. It is noon, and today is a vegetarian day. It's been going pretty well. It's pretty easy. Like, yeah, people have been DMing me like, dude, how hard is this to stay vegetarian? Maybe it's because I'm in LA, but there's vegetarian places everywhere.
Definitely here.
Everywhere. It's good food, too. I mean, it's pretty easy. And I feel like it's a really easy way to lean out, too.
Have you noticed, since it's been, 2 weeks now? So
2 weeks, yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I started last Sunday, so yeah, it's been whatever. It's Tuesday, so.
Well, almost.
Yeah.
Week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I feel good, though. It's super easy to stick to. The challenge is sticking to it on the road. I leave Thursday night on a red eye to Philadelphia, and so Tuesday, Thursdays are my vegetarian days, but that should be pretty easy. I'll eat nuts or something on the plane, traveling stuff. And then my cheat meal I usually do on either Saturday night or Sunday night. I'll probably do it on Saturday night in DC. It's gonna be tough not to eat a Philly cheesesteak in Philly.
You can eat it. Oh wait, you're gonna be gone now.
Yeah, you can't do double cheat. I mean, I guess you could.
Have you ever done it at 12 a.m.?
No.
When I've done cheat days before, I would, after a long time, I would wait till 12 a.m. and consider it Sunday.
Tight move.
But it's so stupid.
It's kind of a tight move, though. It still counts. Tight move. I'm excited for the East Coast, man. Philly, DC. God, I just got a lot on my table right now. I'm not trying to complain, you guys, in the very least bit. But, yeah, for the first time in a long time, I feel a little overwhelmed with everything. Not overwhelmed like I'm not going to get it done. There's just a lot to do. There's just, with the Big Brown breakdown, the Fighting Kid live, Big Brown breakdown live. Shirt collabs I'm doing with Roots of Fight, other sponsorship stuff, and then the house. Life is good, man. I'm not complaining the least bit. Just saying you got a lot of work to do,
It gets rough, I'm sure, even though it's good.
It's all good. Rough. There's no complaints at all. It's just sometimes you gotta sit down like, all right, what do I attack first? I think it's when when people climb Everest, when they're doing those giant ultra marathons, you just gotta go. You just gotta start moving and you get it done. So that's what I'm doing. So after this today, I'll spend the rest of the day knocking some of the stuff out. Yeah, man, that's how we're gonna do it. And I was happy that TJ came in studio. He's out here training. He's home now. When we record this interview, it was on Saturday, on really his only day off. And he came in for Chin and I. And, he's doing some great stuff out here in Cali, man. I'm proud of the guy. So it's good to get his side of the story. I'm hoping to get Cody Garbrandt in here when he's in L.A., just to get the other side, the two tough coaches. And it's the first tough I'm actually excited for in a long time.
And plus, there's going to be a lot of stars from back in the day, right?
Yeah, which is interesting. Yeah. And you guys are, I'm not, no spoiler. He gives us the breakdown on exactly how it works. It's a different format from all the ultimate fighters before, which is what they needed. They needed to mix it up, man. They just really need to do something because it was getting repetitive. And think about it. Was this 23 seasons?
I have no idea.
I think it's 23 seasons, something like that. So after a while, I mean, you got to mix it up, man.
I remember, I think Ariel was saying how why don't they let them do stuff like go out? Have you ever watched I'm sure you watched The Real World.
Hell yeah,
right?
I watched The Real World.
Like, let them go out and do those things too on top of that. Then it makes the show a little bit crazier and more interesting.
You know why they do that? Because it's almost like a human experiment where you don't have those outlets where you can release and get away from the stress of fighting and the pressure of fighting. So you're stuck in this situation where you don't know what's going on in the outside world. You can't call your family, your girlfriend, your wife to vent to or anything like that. You have the house and you're surrounded by all these other fighters, which creates drama. If you need liquor, you got it. Any food you need, you got it. And, it creates this unique environment where you get drama. But to your point, they probably should switch it up. Maybe let the guys, I don't know what they're doing this season, but those vets, they should definitely get outside the house.
They deserve it.
The vets do. It's not like I get the Ultimate Fighter before, it's a way to find new talent. Obviously I'm a guy who came off there. I think I had 2 or 3 fights at the time going on to the show. Most of the guys on the show are inexperienced and trying to, earn a contract in the UFC. Though this new season with these vets, it's like, come on, there's some guys with 50 fights.
Yeah,
I think they got this. Yeah, I think they're good, man. So should be interesting. Did you watch Bellator over the weekend?
Yes, I did. How'd you like it?
Honestly, and I text Coker this, is it might be my favorite Bellator.
Oh, man.
I thought it was really good. I thought the production was great. It wasn't gimmicky at all, which at times even the UFC can get gimmicky, but I thought it was just really well done, man. I thought the fights delivered. Chase Gormley, Karatanov was nasty, man. It was that uppercut he landed on Chase, and Chase has a chin, man. I mean, he was out cold. So Karatanov is back in a major way. The heavyweight division is really interesting in the UFC. And then obviously you have Rampage Jackson and Mo Lawal. I saw some people saying, Rampage was robbed and stuff like that, and it was a controversial win. I thought it was an easy, in the very least, 2-1 Mo Lawal.
2-1, I agree.
You thought Rampage won the second round?
Second round, I did.
Even then, I get you. I can see why you give it to him, but there's an argument. Not even that round. I could see it 30-27. I wouldn't be, that's ridiculous. I'm like, nah, I guess. But I definitely didn't think Rampage won that fight.
I didn't think he won either. But I mean, I think I talked to you about this last time. I look at fights also kind of like a real fight.
Yeah.
Who I feel is a real fight winner. Yeah. And if it was a street fight, I kind of gave it to Rampage on the second round. But the overall fight for sure.
I wish it was 5 rounds, because then we would have had a clear victor. Because when it's 5 rounds, especially how tired Mo was, and, Rampage was tired too, but Mo looked exhausted. Because he was doing all the pressure. He was doing, holding Rampage down. Rampage, the bigger guy, he's picking up, tossing him. Like, he was manhandling Rampage during the takedowns. Rampage did a great job defending him. Rampage was 253 pounds. Like, he was thicker than a king-size Snickers, son. He was thick. He didn't look great. I know his team came in and said it's the hardest he's ever trained. I find that tough to believe, because what the UFC did is, to coincide with this, they did a replay of UFC. I think it was UFC. I forget, but it might have been 68. Rampage versus Marvin Eastman. They did that, and you see, granted, this is years and years and years ago, but still, you look at his body and his movement there, and he just looks so goddamn good. I mean, Rampage is a legend, nonetheless. But at heavyweight, he hits like a Mack truck. This is what's interesting to me. If you guys listen to, was it last week he was on? Yeah, last week's Big Brown Breakdown with Rampage. Last week's Big Brown Breakdown with Rampage. I asked Rampage, I go, and I guess I should have known this. I don't know. Maybe it's public knowledge, but I don't like to get too detailed in this stuff. I just like to have a conversation, to be honest. Whether about fighting, video games, girls, whatever the heck you want, just a conversation. But when I went, hey, Bellator has their biggest card of all time, pay-per-view, Madison Square Garden. Is there a chance if you just walk through Mo Lawal, you can be on that card? And he pauses and goes, then you don't know my contract then. I went, Sure don't. I definitely don't. And then I'm like waiting for something, and I was thinking, oh, maybe he like can only fight once or twice a year, and he has to have like 6-month layoff because they pay him all this money. No, remember, he went to court with the UFC. Remember, the UFC was basically suing Rampage and I think Viacom over that whole deal.
Way, something like that.
Yeah, some obviously dispute in court. And from what I understand is contractually under law, his next fight has to be in the UFC.
Yeah.
So that's why when he went, then you don't know my contract. Hey, bro,
I know.
Can one of the 7 people that came with you bring that up? Someone say, no, his next fight isn't in Bellator no matter what. I'd be like, oh, cool. There goes that. I don't look like an asshole. I didn't know it was public knowledge, and I didn't want, I don't want to get into it if, obviously he didn't want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. But Rampage, if it wasn't in the UFC, I thought him at heavyweight could be fun for Bellator. Mitrione, Fedor, Wanderlei fight his ass at heavyweight. Chael Sonnen fight him at heavyweight. Yeah. Czech Congo, even though they're boys, is heavyweight. That Russian cat's a monster. Kolov or whatever it is. So their heavyweight division has a lot of interesting matchups for him. So obviously he's not fighting at 205 anymore. I don't know what's next for Rampage. King Mo's a tough customer. A lot of people hate on that. King Mo's a very tough customer. So it's not like you can say, oh, Rampage is over the hill. The thing to me is Rampage said in interviews leading up to this fight, he wished he never fought. He regrets fighting. Mm-hmm. He's never fought this heavy before. He's fought heavyweight, but never this heavy before. 253, he didn't look amazing. He looked kind of slow to me. So does he go to the UFC and they toss him at heavyweight? But you look at, I'd pay to watch him at heavyweight in the UFC pay-per-view or a fight night against, you wouldn't pay to see Rampage Jackson versus freaking Mark Hunt? How cool a fight would that be? 2 Pride vets?
Strikers only, yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But so I don't know if he's completely done or if the UFC is going to pay him. The UFC is making funky moves. They obviously don't think they need anybody. So I don't know.
I'd watch him no matter what, even until he retires.
Me too. I've always loved the guy. I know. He's well spoken. He's a fun interview. He's a legend. He's on my Mount Rushmore.
He is.
Add him up there. Let's see. There's 40. Add him up there. Yeah, Quentin, you're up. Do we know the numbers for that card at all? Did they come out?
I didn't even check for them.
It'd be interesting to see. It was a really, really good card, man. And then what's interesting is once King Mo won, they bring Ryan Bader into the cage.
Yeah.
And so now it's King Mo, Ryan Bader on that pay-per-view, which is a great card.
And it's not up yet. At least not in here.
It said, was it 174? Oh, 175.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. 175 averages 907,000 viewers, according to Reddit.
How reliable is Reddit?
Bloody Elbow, too, so. Yeah, 907,000 viewers.
907,000.
Sorry, that's for UFC
that's
Halifax.
UFC Halifax.
Bellator,
damn, that's bad for UFC Halifax. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see with King Mo and Rampage what kind of draw they were. But I love the matchup of King Mo versus Ryan Bader on that. That pay-per-view is freaking nice.
It's stacking up.
I know we'll get into it with the current events, but I have some reservations on them doing pay-per-view. But Scott Coker knows what he's doing. So,
do you like the Ryan Bader King Mo more than if he were to go against Phil Davis? I don't know what would be more exciting.
Lima versus
Larkin.
Larkin's the fight.
That's
a great fight. That's a great fight. Bader versus King Mo is a really interesting fight. I'm a little curious because Bader's a bigger name than Larkin, right?
So you're talking about.
So why wouldn't he get a title shot right away?
I guess the only reason is because
we've seen
Phil Davis can't fight that day, maybe.
Well, they both of them asked for it on social media.
But why wouldn't he get that fight then? So I'm
guessing
because
Phil Davis and Bader fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
So maybe Bellator's like, we just don't want to redo that right away. Like, let's see how Bader stacks against King Mo. Tough matchup for Bader, and then give him Phil Davis.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what their move is there. I like that pay-per-view, though. I'll definitely get it. All right, bro, let's go into some current events, MMA news.
We'll do. Real quick, that Rampage, he held up pretty well, right? Considering he came in that heavy. He came in what seems like when he was here, he just seemed so bummed.
Yeah.
He came out pretty good, right? Like
he didn't look bad. I mean, he didn't look great, but he didn't look bad.
Like if he got in shape, do you think he would have beaten Mo?
And obviously everyone says it, but it's like they're like, this is the hardest he's ever trained. It's like come on.
But it's obvious
not true.
That's not true.
No, that's not true.
So imagine like Rampage cared. I just feel like he would have
at his age though.
Won.
At his age and what he's done.
I know. I understand that. I'm just saying if he came in the way he looked, it just seems as if if he wanted to, if he really wanted to, he could have.
He has the skills, to him, I think he's climbed that mountain. He's kind of been there, done that. And so now it's like, what do you do? Hang around and keep doing this? I don't know. Again, if it's a money thing or something like that.
Indeed. All right. So this is just checking back on Terry Edom. So it's maybe like a couple weeks older, but after that crazy thing in Liverpool where he was throwing his head against bus windows and car windows, he was actually in the hospital for a month and just got released, I think, last month, late last month. So he's at home recovering now. So that's.
Did they
that's
give
good.
any? Did he say?
Zero.
There's no word.
No details on what it was.
How bad? He must have been really hurt if he's in a hospital for a month.
Very serious injuries.
Damn. But there's not his friends or no one's come out and said anything.
No one said anything. So it's still a mystery.
But he obviously needs some help.
Yeah.
Or was he just white girl wasted and was like just I don't know being a knucklehead.
That's some serious white girl wasted too.
Chocolate wasted. Chocolate wasted. I don't know, man. I mean, I've never been that wasted in my life, but I don't know. But it looks like it's the middle of the day too.
Yeah.
It might have just been a bunch of things. Like maybe he just overwhelmed with everything. He's stressed out as fuck. Fighting's not going well. He's having drinks and was just like, it's just frustration. He starts headbutting buses and throwing his body towards cars. That sounds like a suicide attempt.
It sounds really bad. I mean, everyone's always like jumping on the fact that it might be CTE or something like that. But who knows? Who really knows? But damn, that sounds like a CTE kind of move.
Oh,
but who knows?
God. I don't know, man. I'd love to hear from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
What if he was like, listen, I was with my buddies, things aren't going great. Broke up with my girl, for God's sakes. Someone had some Molly. It was laced with some weird shit. I thought the bus was some big titty girl. I dove headfirst into it, and here I am. All right? That's all I got for you guys. Onward and upwards, everybody. Like, I would take that.
I hope that's the case.
Me too. Otherwise, we might have a sad story on our hands. Because that's not like something you do once and then just never, Like, that's obviously in him. Maybe don't buy him drinks, fellas, huh? If your mates are around, let's not buy that guy any more wobbly pops.
I think they drink like crazy in those areas, don't they? I'm guessing there's a lot of day drinking going on.
It is middle afternoon there, fish and chips, and they just look like they're balls deep into some freaking Guinness and I don't know. Well, wish him the best.
At least he's at home recovering, so that's good news. The next one, Werdum versus Alistair Overeem for that one huge card. Was looking to be a huge card, July 8th, 213.
It's going to be stacked because they're going to usually what they do, and I listen, I can't get enough of fighting, so I fucks with it, but they're going to do the triple, where they do 3 nights of fights, where it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Friday's usually, it just depends, but Friday's usually a fight night with 2 really good, they're doing Thursday. There it says there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not Sunday. So Thursday's a fight night. It's usually 2. The headline's usually really good. If you remember, I think it was Frank Yeager, Chad Mendes last year, and then you do the Ultimate Fighter finale, which is usually a good card, and with all those guys, especially this year with all those vets. And then Saturday you have a stack 213, and then the International Fight Week. So they have the all the whole kind of expo going on as well. Listen, a trilogy of Overeem versus Werdum. I love it. I like this fight.
Sounds fun.
Their last fight sucked.
It was a weird fight.
Remember, Werdum was like laying on the ground, like encouraging him to come in his
weird.
guard, and like Overeem was terrified.
He got so tired too. Do you remember Overeem breathing at the end?
Yeah, weird. Those were the Wild West days.
That was Overeem.
Man, you talk about a breakdown that fight, and both these guys were that in their careers. That's a fun fight. Tough one to call. Be interested to see the lines on that. But I love this. Has there been any other? I think TJ's hoping it's him versus Cody Garbrandt on this card too.
That would be freaking awesome.
Sounds like that's what word of mouth is, according to that young man. I don't know who else is on there, but Overeem Werdum, I love it. Love that fight.
I think we have other current events where it shows other fighters on.
Oh, let's do it. All right, brother.
All great ones, too.
Let's do it.
Speaking of, Okamoto tweeted that Robbie Lawler and Cowboy Cerrone will be fighting on that card.
Damn. That's confirmed, huh?
Confirmed. Well,
per Dana White, Robbie versus Cowboy is a done deal for 213. Damn. Both those fights are freaking... I'm about to bust on UFC 213. Fuck. Man, Robbie Lawler's Donald Cerrone. Remember they're going to do it before. And I love how everyone jumped all over Robbie because like, oh, he backed out. It's Robbie Lawler. He's not backing out. Remember, he left American Top Team. He's trying to, you want to make sure things are in line before you fight a guy like Donald Cerrone. You don't want to just jump into it and be like, fuck, I need to figure out who my head coach is, who my training partners is, what exactly is going on, if I'm moving. So there's a lot of details to figure out there. So he made the right choice, and he's a vet, man. I love that fight. Another one. Both guys are kind of at a crossroads. Robbie just with the freaking hands of stone. Don Cerrone, when it comes to straight boxers, usually has some issues with it. And it's going to be interesting to see how Cowboy comes back after that last loss. But the winner of this, Donald's right back in the race, man. Both of them. Whoever wins is right back in the race.
yeah, I mean...
Whoever's in this, right back in the club. Right now, they're outside the club. You want to get in the club, better win this fight. Get on in there, boy. That club's to fight for the belt. You back in. That's a great fucking fight. I try not to cuss so much, but that fight I have to cuss for.
The next event is actually Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He was calling out Robbie Lawler for the next fight. Would you rather see Stephen Thompson against Robbie Lawler, or because they both sound like amazing matchups?
No, I love Cerrone. Man. I don't know. I'd like to see a little Mexican standoff with Cerrone Thompson or Cerrone Robbie Lawler. I love that. I love Wonderboy versus Cerrone. I think that's such an intriguing matchup.
Oh, I was saying Wonderboy against Lawler.
That doesn't do too much for me. But Wonderboy versus Don Cerrone is such an interesting fight. Because Cowboy goes Cowboy's going to go forward and those leg kicks, and it's an interesting fight. Cowboy with his takedowns too. People forget that he can wrestle. And then so Wonderboy wants Condit or Lawler next. So Lawler's out.
Yeah.
So maybe Condit. Or you're going to get Damian Maia if he beats Jorge. Wonderboy, the winner of that fight, Masvidal and Maia could fight Wonderboy. I don't know how long Wonderboy's saying he's out. Wonderboy saying he wants to fight in July?
I don't see it there, but I'm going to guess everyone wants on that card, right?
Yes. So he said he had a MCL tear, slight meniscus tear. Jesus, I'm feeling good.
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. No, he won't be ready for July. We're in May, so that means May, June. That means he wouldn't be like back to doing normal drills to mid-June. Nah, you're not fighting July, son. Go ahead and wait for that Masvidal Maia winner. Maia Wonderboy to me is so interesting because if they played their cards right and you made the poster, I'm sure Martin O'Neill, Jurassic Graphics, or Photoshop Steve would do it, or Boss Logic, any of these beasts who are on doing designing graphics. But You could have it like the old school poster where you have a straight stand-up guy versus a straight jiu-jitsu guy. Like you have Damian Maia in the gi, like UFC 1 or 2, like he's Hoist Gracie. Then you have fucking Wonder Boy, the fucking Taekwondo kid. It'd be sick, man. And then they just tell the story about that leading up from UFC 1 to whatever UFC they're on. It'd be so cool. It's a matchup of the guy who's the very best in the world on the ground versus the guy who's the very best in the world on the feet. Mm-hmm. Who's gonna get the right game plan to keep it in their world? It's fascinating because these days everyone's so good at everything.
So who would win that match? I'm trying to remember.
If I had to pick right now,
Maia.
I think he gets him down, and then goes to town like a goddamn anaconda from Brazil, chokes him out. That last fight, Wonder Boy with Woodley, he's just so hesitant, and I know that's because, he's worried about the takedowns and the explosive power of Woodley, but Damian Maia's tricky, man. He gets that underhook, the trip. People forget what Damian Maia did when he fought Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen's a big dude. He hip tossed him, went to the ground, put him in an inverted triangle, and choked him out. It's Chael Sonnen. Wow. Big Chael. That's USADA free golden snitch Chael Sonnen. He did that too. I'd put my money on Damian Maia right now, but there's obviously they have a lot of matchups to figure out.
Cool. And
it's fun to think about though.
In this article, since this is prior to Lawler getting the fight with whatchamacallit, Cerrone. So Coach Kavanaugh, Connor's coach, said he wanted Gunny to fight Stephen Thompson, and now that's sort of on the table again now since Stephen Thompson wanted Lawler and he's out of the picture, or Condit.
I thought Condit retired and then now he wants back in.
He said he wanted back in. He wanted to go straight for the title, but
Wonder Boy versus Condit is a great fight. Depends where Condit's head's at, but it does more for Wonder Boy if he wants to get back in that title picture. Him beating Gunnar Nelson looked great against Joban, right?
Yeah.
Looked amazing. He's just not a huge name like a Condit. If you're Wonder Boy, probably don't take that fight. It's a dangerous fight for him. Super dangerous. You want the highest rated, most marketable fight, make the most money, you go for Condit.
Yeah.
Not the guy who actually has really good stand-up and is a nightmare on the ground without the big name.
You want to move on?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mirko Krokop went on his Facebook, or whoever handles his Facebook page, and says he's asking the fans if they want to see his retirement fight against Fedor.
Sign me the fuck up. Fedor, Mr. Steal Your Girl look there. Look at his eyes
That's
in that picture.
OG, right?
Damn. Fucking beastie dime piece there.
I didn't realize he had those colored eyes.
I didn't either. That might be Photoshopped. He looks like a model in that picture. They're kind of hiding his receding hairline. I'll watch this, man. Why not? And remember, Fedor's with Bellator, which is, in cahoots with Ryzen, which Krokop is the champion of. So it could easily happen after Fedor fights Mitrione. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. It's Fedor. There's certain guys where win or lose, we're always going to watch them fight, because of what they've done in the past. So, Krokop Fedor, at this stage too, I think Krokop wins that fight.
I'm going to have to agree with you.
Krokop's looked real beastie lately.
Yeah. He knocked out King Mo, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take Krokop.
Yep.
But you're excited about this fight for sure.
Hell yeah, I'd watch that. If older dudes are going to fight, I'd much rather watch these two old dudes fight. Two legends. Super legends. I remember watching that fight in Boulder, Colorado, that first fight. One of the, that first Fedor Krokop fight in Pride, man. Oh my God.
This picture is actually helping me want to watch the fight too.
Hell yeah.
A little weird, right?
Mm-hmm. Fedor looking like a straight dimey piece there, and then Krokop just a freaking Croatian assassin. That broken nose. Top 5 favorite fighters of all time, both of them. Krokop probably top 2.
Yeah, I agree. Dude,
love him, man.
In Pride days, I remember we'd watch him. He just had that crazy cool look, cool stare.
And his kicks.
Yeah.
And it's just like, It's almost like they were superheroes back then.
Yeah.
Maybe because I wasn't in the game back then, I look at him a different way. And since I'm in the game, but I fought Croker. I mean, fighting him, I felt like it was like it wasn't real.
Wait, you weren't in the game back when you were watching Krokop?
No, I was playing college football.
Holy crap!
Playing college football, man. Had no intentions of really fighting.
Dude, that is crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
We were all watching it.
Yeah. I was never even thinking about the game, but I remember watching this and thinking, how do people do this? How is this possible?
I know.
And then you did that before you got into fighting.
Yep.
And then you actually got into fighting. And then you fought him.
Yeah, I did. Crazy.
Craziness.
What else you got, man? I'd definitely watch that fight. It'd be cool if it was on Bellator, too. Free TV on Spike.
Oh, yeah.
Not in Ryzen. Or it's in Ryzen.
It's got to be in Ryzen, though,
There's
right?
no commission, and we get weird.
And that would be like a awesome throwback, too, if it was in Ryzen. Make it look like Pride.
Would have to do a fight companion for that.
Oh, yeah.
What else you got, brother?
All right, next one is Gegard Mousasi discovering that Mark Hunt's getting paid $800K, and he's saying, how the fuck is this possible? And he's also saying that because Dan Henderson got paid a lot more than him as well, and he beat Henderson and he beat Hunt back in the day.
And so he's just saying his record is 41-6, which is ridiculous.
He's just saying, how is this possible?
He says, I just see that Vitor Belfort is making tons more money than me. I defeated Dan Henderson. He's making tons more money than me. I defeated Mark Hunt. How is it possible Mark Hunt is making $800K with a record of 10-10? Look at my record. How the fuck is that possible? It comes all down to this fight. That's why I trained so hard for this fight. It's not because I want to beat Chris Weidman. It's because I need to get paid. And I'm going to get paid. That's what I'm going to do. So it's your market value. I agree with Gegard Mousasi where he should be compensated way more. He should be making way more money. But from a business standpoint, the UFC is going, what is your market value? If Chris Weidman walks into this office right now, how many people stop? Not Chris Weidman. If Mousasi walks in to this office right now or walks across the street to Whole Foods, how many people stop him, take a picture, ask for an autograph? Over under 3? I'd say under, for sure. So he's just, maybe in the Netherlands where he's from, he's a big deal over there. So I can get that, but the UFC doesn't have a huge market there. But these guys, let's go through the guys he called out. Vitor Belfort. Okay, well, you did beat him, but you beat him on the very, very back nine of his career. It's also Vitor Belfort, one of the greatest of all time. Mm-hmm. He's earned that right in the money that he makes. But also, Vitor Belfort's market value is insane. In Brazil, here, what are you talking about? The Phenom. It's Vitor Belfort. And Mark Hunt, I get Mark Hunt has that salty-ass record of 10-10. Again, it's Mark Hunt, though. His value is really, really big. If Mark Hunt in the fights, how close he got, he fought for the title, has some of the best knockouts of all time. He's exciting. He's also a heavyweight. Heavyweights always make more money than most of the divisions, unless your name's Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey. Heavyweights always make more money. So, and then who else? And then, Dan Henderson, god damn, bro. Vitor Belfort, legends. Dan Henderson, and Mark Hunt, you're not one of those guys. He's had a great career. He's beat some great guys, and he's been world champion in other organizations in Dream and I forget the other one, not King of the Cage something. But the demand's just not there. And for Chris Weidman, I think you got. And I fuck, man, I hope he makes the money that he wants. I really do. But it's the market value is just not there, unfortunately.
He's just not that mainstream popular yet.
He's not marketable.
Oh, not marketable at all.
In the mainstream, it's gonna be tough. I mean, he's not a bad looking dude, but he has he has that kind of personality of a sloth. He's like, and he just kind of marches forward at this slow pace. He's had some. He's won his last 3. He's had some big key wins or last 4. And I agree. Mousasi, I agree with you, man. You should be making $1 million per fight, at least what you've done with your career, and you're 41-6, and you ranked in the top 10 in middleweight and all that stuff. But the UFC is just going to say, here's your market worth. If we put you as a main event on pay-per-view, how many buys do we get? Under 300. Unless you're fighting, I don't know. Even if he's fighting the champ Bisping, that's not going to blow your hair back pay-per-view number wise. And it sucks, man. But that's where we're at, and it sucks for these guys. And I get his argument, and I hope he gets paid. You got to realize too, Mousasi, this is the last fight in his contract, so he's saying, "Show me the money." I'm honestly surprised that they gave him Chris Weidman, because this is putting all the chips in his corner. Because you beat Chris Weidman, former champ. That's what 4 or 5 in a row if he beats him. So either way, long win streak. He beat Belfort, Henderson, Weidman. You got an argument to get fucking paid. To me, this goes into details of the UFC. There's no way Joe Silva would have given him this fight if Joe Silva was still matchmaking. Your last fight, you can fight Chris Weidman on his co-main event.
Chris Weidman with his back to the wall, too.
Yeah. Have you seen how good of shape Chris Weidman's in?
Dude, really
I'll do it in our breakdown, but Chris Weidman's looking beastie, man. Looking really, really beastie. So I just think for Mousasi, yeah, it's kind of, he's telling the UFC, shit or get off the pot, man. Like, I need to get paid. If I beat all these guys, these superstars, and make way more money than me, what's up? I honestly think he's going to be surprised, even if he were to beat Chris Weidman, what they offer him.
Damn.
Unfortunately. He's going to be super surprised. He's going to be hella surprised, because he's getting $110,000 now. So he's at 55 and 55, which is not great for a guy of his caliber at all. I bet they give him maybe 100 and 100.
I'm trying to understand.
And then incentives if he wins the belt.
So with marketability, I don't know if it's just because I love MMA that, he's unique to me. Like, I like the way he's like stone faced.
Me too.
And,
I
cool,
love his
right?
style. Yeah.
But it just doesn't transfer over to mainstream marketability for some reason. It's weird.
It is weird. And you're talking about a guy who's, he's beat everyone. Former 3-time world champion, other leagues, and Dream, and that other one I can't think of right now.
Crap load of fights, yeah.
Yeah, and, he beat Jacare, and, he's beat all these guys, and Belfort and Henderson. You look at his resume, it's like, Jesus Christ. And then if he beats Weidman, I don't know. They're having a tough time telling people's story, let alone Mousasi. But Mousasi never been a Mr. Steal Your Girl type of dude. You know what I'm saying? He's never been that guy that kind of everyone gravitates to. Like, he's not electrifying. And I'm not knocking Mousasi. I love watching Mousasi fight. He is so skilled, it's not even funny. He's a fucking beast, man. He's so damn good. But would you rather watch a guy like Mousasi or a guy like, just because I see him right, Robbie Lawler?
And Robbie also is not like a crazy personality, but for some reason,
his fighting style.
Yeah. For some reason.
His demeanor, his fighting style. We remember with that cut lip in the 5th round.
Yelling.
Like, it's just, I don't know. It's and honestly, there's not much you can do. It's like, but to his defense, on paper, he's like, look at this shit, man. Pay me. I beat this guy, beat this guy, beat this guy. Give me this much money. I beat all these guys. And you're going to get your feelings hurt when you sit down with this new UFC. And they go, we're good. This is what we think you're worth. Because I've heard him say that to guys who are a bigger deal than Mousasi. But my manager used to put it on speakerphone because I've always been very interested in the business aspects of fighting. Yeah. Super interested. And when he would be going over negotiations, we're talking about a huge fucking name. Huge name. And he goes, you want to see what kind of world you're in? I went, yeah, sure. Put on speaker, and they're negotiating. And the things they were saying, I was like, oh my God. If they're saying this about this guy, what the fuck? Did they just text my contract? How does this work? Yeah, it's a tough business, man. Like how many Mousasi Reebok kits are they selling?
I wonder.
I mean, I wonder, but I know.
I just said how like I'm a fan of him, But have I ever bought anything from him? No.
No. Are you going to Fight Pass and look up Gegard Mousasi fights?
I've never done that.
Sure haven't. And you and I love mixed martial arts. Sucks, right? Doesn't make you feel like an ass. I hope he gets paid. I don't know who his manager is. I hope they, because he has a great case to get paid, especially if he wins this one. If he loses this one,
I guess we'll talk about that one.
How great of a fight is that? Both guys with their backs against the wall. Mousasi trying to get paid. Last fight in his contract. Chris Weidman, 2 losses, the only 2 losses in his career, back-to-back losses, which I think there's an argument where he could have won both fights if he didn't make small mistakes. We'll get into it in the breakdown.
Cool, man.
I feel bad for Mousasi. The dream catcher. Even that nickname is tough.
When you said it out loud, then it changed a little bit. Like reading,
Gegard, the dream catcher, Mousasi.
Saying it's so different than when you read it. When you read it, it seems, all right, it looks pretty cool. But then when you say it,
the dream catcher. You Indian? You Indian? It's like, that sucks.
All right, the next one. David Haye, boxing legend. What is he, a boxing legend?
Definitely not a legend. Who says legend?
No, I'm asking.
Oh, I was like, it says legend out there? Not a legend. He's fucking good.
He's apparently he's a weird guy in boxing. People always say he's kind of
He's a personality.
Odd. Yeah.
He's a fun guy to watch.
He's saying that Jimmy Mano's team and the UFC contacted him about potentially doing a boxing match. And the rumor is it would be the undercard of the McGregor-Mayweather card.
I don't like it. This grinds my gears. Because now you're making it a shit show. If you put other MMA fighters on that undercard, I'm not trying to see that, man. I don't want to see that. Give me a regular undercard or just do some special event where we just get Floyd, Conor, one fight, mega fight.
Yeah.
Give me that. I don't need to see all these other weird experiments because Jimmy Manuwa isn't a Conor McGregor. Nick Diaz aren't Conor McGregor's. They're just not. I'm talking about the movement. Are they better pure boxers? Yes. Better at movement? No. So it's like if you put these undercards with, let's say you have Roy Jones or Anderson Silva. What the fuck you, man? Then you just make a mockery of it. I would be surprised if Mayweather even let any of this fly on his undercard. And it's not a knock on Jimmy Manuwa, but I don't see that working out well for him. I just don't.
What are the odds that the UFC really did contact this guy?
Slim to none, because I think he started these claims. I think maybe his manager's like, yeah, they reached out, like, bullshitting. And it's a good way to get in the media right now because UFC is such a commodity, especially in the public, and with Conor and this Floyd talk, it's everywhere. So he's trying to get his name in the hat. David Haye's an older dude. He hasn't fought in 3 to 4 years at least, and then came back, blew out his fucking Achilles. So, this obviously keeps him in the limelight. And Jimmy Manuwa is from England, so I guess that's the connection there. But this ain't happening. This ain't happening at all. But again, we see how many boxers have we seen? For boxers to get famous or to get notoriety or get a headline like this is tough, especially out here. So that's why you see like that Pascal calling out fucking Nick Diaz. Yeah. What are you talking about? What do you have to prove, man? And then his shit talking was just awful. You also don't know who the Diaz's are. He's like, you're a fake tough guy. Fighter. You're not a real fighter. I'm like, oh my God. Literally call anyone else not a real fighter but those two. There's no two more gangster than those two. David Haye, he's at the back nine. He just took this fight, blew out his Achilles, and it's for attention. But what it does is make a mockery of this Floyd Conor situation. Do not put that on the undercard.
So just regular boxing, a regular boxing card with just a huge Conor and Mayweather.
Yep. Just like any other pay-per-view. And you're going to charge, and they're going to charge $100. What else you got?
All right, this is the last one on the boxing. So Chael Sonnen, he's saying that you said that if Conor lasts 12 rounds, then he's already won. If he could just wins. Make it, right? Yeah. But Chael Sonnen saying that if he doesn't even last, if he lasts only one round, at least one round, then it immediately makes boxing look fake and phony and a myth.
No. What's Chael talking about? Is this out of context, or
No.
what else does he say?
So, this headline is out of this is not a real headline. But
Okay.
he said it would make boxing fake, phony, and a myth if Conor lasts even one round.
No, that's not true. That's not true in the least bit. It's a spectacle. And it's a matter of styles and and game planning and the unknown, which makes this interesting. But it has nothing to do. It doesn't kill MMA or boxing. Whatever happens in this fight. Now, if Conor went in there and was straight boxing and slipping punches and just toying with Floyd Mayweather and pieced him up and knocked him out, well, then it's like, God damn, all right, well, yeah, MMA wins this one, but that's not happening. It's just not going to happen. Chael's just off on this. It literally has nothing to do with that. You guys are here on the TJ Dillashaw interview where he trains with Lomachenko, who's the number 1 pound-for-pound boxer in the world. Look this guy up. And even he says, in that first round with TJ's movement, it took Lomachenko a little bit of time to get used to that movement and those angles and the distance. Because MMA distance is light years different than boxing. It just is. Because takedowns, kicks, the gloves, everything, the movement is completely. You're talking about 2 different sports. You're talking hockey to basketball. So Conor surviving a round does not kill boxing. It's Floyd Mayweather seeing something for the first time, downloading this, and then making adjustments from there and doing work from there, and ultimately winning the fight. But it's a huge question mark. The real story on this is how long is it going to take Floyd Mayweather to figure out Conor's movement and what exactly he's trying to achieve here. I completely disagree with Chael. I love Chael, but he's definitely wrong on that. It's not an embarrassment. Remember, Floyd's 40. He's also basically retired. The only reason he's coming out of retirement because he thinks this is an easy payday and something to do, and also gives him 50 wins. 49 gives him 50. We don't know if it's going to be a 12-round fight either, or 10-round. We don't know any of that.
I don't. Would they have to make it a 12-round?
I'm not sure. I don't know the exact commission rulings and stuff like that in the regulations, but Conor having 0 pro boxing experience.
That changes things.
Mm-hmm. But him having combat experience and being they do in Vegas where Floyd owns that commission, I bet it's 12 rounds. Chael's off on this. What else you got?
All right. This one. Khabib Nurmagomedov. He's I don't know. This was just funny to me. He was on Ariel's show and he said
had to deny eating tiramisu.
The tiramisu thing. He was saying, I forgot where the actual quote is. But he was saying why are people saying this? I don't eat this food. How could this be? Everyone's saying it, and I don't know why this is happening. But no, I did not eat that cake or whatever.
Because it stems from there was an embedded video leading up to a showdown with Tony Ferguson at UFC. Is that 208?
209, I think.
209 or 209. There's a video and there's tiramisu in front of him.
Yeah.
And so what's his quote here? I love this.
I had it somewhere here. Oh, there he goes. I don't understand why people talk about this. I don't eat this. And
we go into restaurant, we chill together, everything. Yeah. But I was cutting weight. The other guys, no cutting weight, and everybody eat everything. But I don't eat any of this stuff. I eat only my food. I don't understand why people talk about this. Somebody ordered cake, somebody eat cake. Of course somebody eat cake. But I don't eat nothing. I don't eat this cake. I did nothing, but I don't understand why people talk about this. I think it's just a matter of, him missing weight and then seeing visually that you're in front of desserts, So it's like, well, why the fuck would someone miss weight? And there's this tiramisu, and we talked about it on this show, and then, then even Tony Ferguson comes out and tweets about tiramisu, and then, kind of that's the way it escalates because, he never gave a real reason why he missed weight.
The tiramisu thing, I love the fact that it's called tiramisu. It just makes the story that much
It's
more
hilarious.
fun. Yeah.
And him going, yeah, someone ordered cake. They eat cake. I have no cake. I eat my food. It's hilarious. There's no one to blame but himself.
That was what I was going to get to next, but go for it.
Go ahead.
I had an article here. Well, I'll just tell you. He was saying, there it is. He said it's 100% his fault that he missed weight. He said you can't look at the coaches or his dieting guy or anything else. He wanted to let people know that it was 100% his fault. And
that's the way to go. He owns it. And once you say it's my fault, then no one can make any more speculations or discredit him for anything. And that's by far the best way to go in this situation. Is going, I fucked up. It's all on me, man. I got to make some changes with doing this, but ultimately it comes down to me, what I put in my body, and I should have been ready to go, and I wasn't. And then people go, all right, he owned it. Moving on. I don't hate the guy. I don't think no one should hate the guy. I was as frustrated as anyone because I want to see that fight so bad, and I still think the fight's going to happen. I think it's the only fight for Tony. Hopefully he's all right. It sounds like his body really shut down, was in a bad position. So he needs to get with that TJ Dillashaw fucking nutritionist or something. I don't know. Mike Dolce, any of those main guys that have been in the business before. But he needs to do something, man. But 55 is where his home's at.
You've never had to really cut weight, but you've gotten in shape and stuff for fights. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, because me personally, when I lost weight, I know I lost a lot of muscle. And that's just part of it. But I know I can get down super low if I really wanted to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So someone like him, I'm guessing he can get lower if he wants to lose muscle, right? But how much does that affect him?
It's tough because a guy like that who's muscle bound, like super muscle bound, there comes to a point of diminishing returns where he's depleted his body of all the nutrients, all this stuff. And when your organs start to shut down, like his liver, you're talking about some real shit, man. So it sounds like he did everything, and he's probably, he lost some muscle, but he's such a stout and muscle-bound dude. There's only so much you can do.
He's like a big frame dude. So
he's a thickie, man, a thick-ass dude.
Got it.
So he just needs to get on track, man, because he's killing his career, missing fights and pulling out fights, literally killing his career.
Man, I remember seeing the Embeddeds, too, where he had tons of people going to the gym, like rooting him on. Just imagine the pressure he was under just to make it to the fight, and then I'm sure he feels like he let all those people down.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I have sympathy for him, because for a guy like him to pull out of a fight, he must have been some serious trouble, like knocking on death's door. For a guy of his magnitude to pull out, his demeanor, his upbringing, his roots. Come on, man. What else you got?
Back to Bellator. So I'm sure you know this by now since you watched the fight, but they're booking Ryan Bader against King Mo. We talked about this already, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, why does King Mo? Why does he have that face in that? Like,
I have no idea.
He looks like someone just pissed in his Cheerios.
Hey, we did talk about this.
Yeah, we talked about Bader King Mo. I love it. I love it. What else you got?
Oh, so the pay-per-view is going to be $49. How much of a difference does that make to you? So the UFCs are at like $59
no,
HD
well,
or $69?
Well, UFC is $64.99 HD, right?
Jesus.
Right?
I forget. I always imagine it's $59. We just pitch in and someone buys it. But
yeah, I know. $50 for, especially for this magnitude of a card, I'm not mad at it. My issue is we're, again, I'm not knocking Coker or Bellator on this. My issue is Bellator has always been free for the most part. I mean, they've had that one pay-per-view with King Mo Rampage, the first one. But why go pay-per-view now? Why do it now on this magnitude of a card? I just think they're at a pace now. They're obviously number 2 to the UFC, but they're getting a lot of new signings, stuff like that. Why not get more familiar, not just with the hardcore fans who are going to buy this pay-per-view, but with the common fan who's going to, like, God damn, did you see that pay-per-view? Or did you see that free card on Spike? It's stacked. Madison Square Garden. People are like, oh, was it UFC? No, Bellator. I feel like by not going pay-per-view, it gives them a chance to get these other views that they normally wouldn't have. And to that magnitude of a card, have a chance to set the ratings of the year.
So,
like, how big of a feather would that be in your cap? Say, hey, we had the most watched fight of the year.
Yeah. So you would wait, maybe do this one free, and then the next, if they wanted to.
Pay-per-view's just not their model either with Viacom, is it? It's kind of like we love the free content, stuff like that. So I don't, obviously I don't know exactly what their bills are, and Madison Square Garden's an expensive place to rent out and stuff like that. And obviously you look at who's who on this card, and they're paying some big bucks, so maybe they're getting their money that way to make up for the damage and the overhead of Madison Square Garden, this magnitude of a card. But I just feel like, putting on free TV, you make that gap between you and the UFC even smaller, especially with these new guys you're signing. Because you're going to get the hardcore fans, yeah, hands down.
But they could get a humongous, massive viewership if they were to do it the way they normally do it.
Yeah, because the average viewer's not paying to see Fedor fight anymore, man. The average viewer's not paying to see Wanderlei Silva or Chael Sonnen. We're not. They're just not. But everyone's going to tune to watch Bader, King Mo, Fedor, Mitrione. This card's stacked. They also have a plan, man. I would never doubt Scott Coker, what he's done, his track record, and obviously Viacom and Spike believe in this pay-per-view platform, but I'm just curious about the play. Can't put together a better card. It's a great card. I just feel like I'm free TV, though.
No. So free TV, without a doubt, even my friends that are not in the MMA, whatever, they would watch, because they just heard of the name Fedor. They heard of Chael Sonnen. They heard these names, Wanderlei. So they would watch it regardless. But the whatever fan, like my friends that don't watch them, they're not gonna
pay $50.
So I'm thinking $49 or $59. If I wanted to buy a pay-per-view, I honestly don't think the $49, $10 off matters, right?
I don't care. This is the other problem you have. The $10 doesn't matter. Then if it's $29.99, I'm like, why the fuck so cheap? I don't want that. What's wrong with it? Is it going to be like no HD or something? Why is it $29.99? So they have to find this happy medium. I just feel like free TV, that's their thing. Like, that's what we know Spike is, and they're killing it. And this is their chance to close that gap. But they have a reason, I'm sure. I don't know. So, Is that it, brother? We got more.
You want to break down the card?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Let's break down this weekend's pay-per-view. Just looking at the card, it's by far the best main event so far this year. Think of the main events we've had. If you go through them, if you know your MMA, especially your UFC, you go through the main events they've given us this year, this is by far the best fight. I'm not saying for the entire year, but leading up till now, to this point, it's the best fight so far. Because we've had, Woodley, Wonderboy 2, you could argue was a better fight before, obviously, the results. But this is by far the best fight of the year so far.
Would Khabib and Ferguson been... No, this is still better, right?
It's just, yeah, but Khabib,
It wasn't a main event, but still...
I'm just saying main events.
Yeah.
Yeah, Khabib Ferguson's a great fight. Better fight because we haven't seen that before. Where do you even start? This overall is a great card, man. We'll just skim over the prelims real quick on Fox Sports 1. My boy Pat Cummins, he switched up camps. He's been struggling, man. When I say struggling, he's been struggling just because, he got to start with, and if you guys don't know Pat Cummins, he's been on the Fighting Kid before a while ago, probably last year or 2 years ago. A good buddy of mine, main training partner when I was fighting, wrestler at Penn State, heavyweight wrestler, phenomenal wrestler as well. Was working at a coffee shop, was making your espressos and fucking cappuccinos at 6 a.m. He'd get that at 5 a.m. He'd bake bread, make that coffee, and then come to train with us in the afternoon. A crazy work ethic, just an overall freaking gem of a human being. And one of the toughest guys I've ever seen in the training room. Would train with us. You knew if you're sparring Pat Cummins, you better come correct. He had no half speed. It was just all full go. I'd see him knock dudes out in practice. He's just a tough customer. He'd go from training with Mark Munoz, myself, Ishii, drive down to Black House or drive down to Kings and spar so hard with Werdum and grapple with Werdum. He's just a gem of a human being. I know, he's had a little bit of rough go just because, the way the UFC's paying stuff like that, he's going from couch to couch. I appreciate you not calling me to sleep on my couch because that's always awkward. And, I got a kid and, I'm like a leather couch and shit, but we are friends. But, and then at the light heavyweight division, it's not that deep, so he got his start, if you guys don't know the story, if you do, it's still a good one to remind you of. So he was 4-0. He's only 4-0. And he was working at this coffee shop, man. He'd get there at 5 a.m, working his ass off. Everyone in the training room knew at the time he could compete with anyone in the UFC. And so he's working at this coffee shop, and DC's opponent falls out. I think it was on an 8-day notice.
I feel like it was less than that, but
might have been 4 days.
Maybe, yeah, something like that.
Something crazy. Like less than 10. Let's just put it that way. Less than 10-day notice. And his coach, Ryan Parsons, who was my coach, shout out to Ryan Parsons, the best in the business, who's Dan Henderson's, Chael Sonnen's, everyone's head coach. Wrestled at Arizona State, just a great dude. And he kind of was Pat Cummings' kind of, mentor and coach, and he let Pat stay with him and all this stuff. And so when DC's opponent fell out, Ryan Parsons called Dana White, was like, hey, I have a guy. He's 4-0. He's a light heavyweight. He's always in shape. He's a monster of a human being. And he made DC cry in training. And Dana White's like, what? And so he calls, and so he drives to Pat's work. This is 6 a.m. And he goes through the drive-thru and he's like, hey, and Pat's like, what do you want, man? And he's like, I got customers. He's like, no, do you want to be in the UFC? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, here's Dana White. Give him the phone. Dana's like,
Ryan drove to the...
Yeah, Ryan Parsons drove to the coffee shop.
Dana did. I was like,
no,
oh, crap.
Hell no. Dana would never do that. And he gets on the phone, and Dana's like, it's true? You beat DC in wrestling? He goes, yeah, I used to make him cry in practice. And Dana goes, you'll say that in interviews? And Pat's like, yeah, it's the truth. I have no problem saying this story. And he's like, you got it. And then he literally quit. It was like, I'm out of here, and just dropped his apron, went to training. And then he got his first fight in the UFC against Daniel Cormier, which is a freaking tough go on, I don't know, less than 10-day notice. But then, he loses DC, which is all fine and dandy, TKO in the first round. No shame in that. No reason to hang your head. I don't know anyone who'd fight that guy in that short notice. And then he goes on a 1, 2, 3 fight win streak, and I cornered him for, I think, 2 of those. I know I cornered him for the Kyle Kingsbury in San Jose. And I think he had landed, at the time, one of the most takedowns in a light heavyweight match. And then beat Antonio Carlos Jr., who won the Ultimate Fighter. And then it's off to the races. Because then he got OSP, loses to OSP. And then he gets Rafael Calavente, and he beat him TKO in the 3rd round. And then you get Glover Teixeira, which is a fucking nightmare of a matchup for him. And then you got Little Nog. So he's on tough times right now. And he's fighting this Jan Blachowicz, Jan Blachowicz, who, he went to decision against Gustafsson. He lost to Corey Anderson, lost to Jimmy Manawa, beat Latifi. He beat Houston Alexander, a lot of decisions. I'll never bet against my boy Pat, but I wasn't even going to go over him, but I love reminiscing about Pat Cummins. Watch him fight, man. Great fucking story. They call him, Pat the Tooth, so...
Well, how did he lose his tooth? I'm sure they talked about this.
Wrestling. I think he got headbutt. He got headbutted in wrestling or something.
And you can never...
He used to be like 280, 90 pounds.
No way.
Heavyweight. Penn State.
Oh, shit.
All-American, Jack.
Damn, that's heavy.
Yeah.
That means he's
rides his bike like a fucking Lance Armstrong, like wannabe, nonstop. And just works so hard, man. I'm fucking pulling for that guy. Other than that, you got Miles Jury, Mike Della Torre. Miles Jury, he was such a hot prospect, man. God damn, that kid was a prospect out of San Diego. He came up winning a shitload in a row. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in a row. Beats Gomi, beats Diego Sanchez, beats Mike Ritchie, beats Ramsey, beats Michael Johnson. So he's ranked pretty high. And then he takes goddamn a year off, takes a long time off. Then, when you win like that, then you're going to get the dogs. Then you got Donald Cerrone. And Donald just embarrassed him. He didn't want a part of Donald. He looked kind of scared in that fight, and they fought Charles Oliveira and got submitted, which in the first round. For a guy of his caliber of jiu-jitsu to get submitted is never good. And Charles missed weight that fight. He's fighting Mike Dellatorre, where, listen, you look at these guys' records, one of them's going home, I would assume. Whoever loses this fight, probably going home. I'll take Miles Jury in this fight all day. His back against the wall, I'll take Mike Jury. And then on to the main card. The main card's freaking stacked. You know, you have that kind of weird fight off. They need to build the women's strawweight division with Pearl Gonzalez versus Cynthia Calvillo. Yeah. So that's a good curveball in there. But so Will Brooks versus Charles Oliveira. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say, but the Bronx, Charles the Bronx. I think, you know, I know Charles is ranked higher. I think it's a nightmare of a matchup for. Don't show me the odds yet. Let me pick mine and then show me the odds, because I think stylistically, Will Brooks is an absolute nightmare for Charles. I think Will Brooks walks through him. Will Brooks has beat some of the best guys in the world. You know, his last loss is due to injury because he had a bad rib. But, I mean, this is a guy who beat Michael Chandler, who could easily walk in the UFC right now and be a top 3 guy very easily. He beat him twice. Man. I don't know. I have really high hopes for Will Brooks, especially with his build, his heart. He's a very cerebral fighter. You know, he beat Ross Pearson his first fight in the UFC, and Ross Pearson's no punk, man. Ross is the Ultimate Fighter winner. You know, he beat him, and then his second fight, he fought the Oliveira, the Cowboy one. But it wasn't due to Cowboy outworking him. It was due to his hurt rib, and again, that Cowboy missed weight.
Dude, 2 Oliveiras that missed weight.
Those Brazilians in weight cutting, man. But you know, so you're talking about a multi-time world champion out of Bellator. So I just, what's the odds on this?
All right. Check out the odds. He's a minus 265 favorite.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Oliveira's plus 225.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's not a bigger. I just think this is an easy fight to call.
So you got, what am I saying? Will Brooks for sure then.
I got Will Brooks all day. Who do you got?
I like Will Brooks too.
I know I'm sounding like I'm a dick rider on Will Brooks right now. I just think he's a tank, man.
When I saw him fight Chandler, I at that time I thought Chandler was the best ever. Like at that,
he's
division.
up there.
He was amazing. And then when he hit him to the point where he just said, you know, was shaking his fingers like, no, he was gone. He was out of it. And it was freaky.
Have you ever seen Chandler in person?
No.
Jesus, he is a fucking spark plug of a man, a tank. I couldn't believe how big he was. I wish someday either the UFC brings someone over to him that's a former champ, or he gets into the UFC. Just to prove how talented that guy is. My word, that boy is talented. If you don't know who Mike Chandler is, go ahead and place your dick in your hand and just squeeze as tight as you can. And then scream out, Chandler! He's a fucking monster. Love Will Brooks. And then Thiago Alves versus Patrick Cote. This is one of those fights where you go, oh, I know those guys. Like it doesn't, no one's going anywhere in this fight. Like it's kind of, you know, both of them are, you know, they're past the back nine. It's, you know, call a spade a spade. It is what it is. They're both kind of out of it. Patrick Cote does a lot of commentating for Canada, and he's brilliant at it. And, you know, he lost to Wonder Boy, but then he was on a 3-fight win streak, you know, against Ben Saunders. Then, you know, kind of got dismantled by Cerrone, and he's the bigger guy. But, you know, he's actually had a really good kind of run. You know, he goes 3, then he loses to Wonder Boy Thompson 3, loses to Donald Cerrone. But he beats anyone not in the top 5. He's just that guy. You know, he has a granite freaking chin, hits like a Mack truck, tough to take down. You know, he's also a dime piece. You know, he's a good-looking dude. He does a lot of commentating for Canada, and he's very, very good at it. With Thiago Alves, I just don't. Again, and this comes from a guy who sometimes wears makeup and talks on TV and tells dick jokes and does a podcast and designs T-shirts. So, you know, there's a reason why I say this stuff. I don't get why Thiago Alves does it anymore. You know, when he was at his very best, you're talking about 2008, 2005, 2006. That's a long time ago, man. A long time ago. And then I guess you could say he probably looked his best recently was in 2015, 2 years ago, when he beat Jordan Mean with that body kick. But, Carlos Condit just fucking did whatever he wanted to him. And then Jim Miller, it's older Jim Miller too, and Jim Miller beat him. And Thiago missed weight. So when guys are missing weight, guys are losing fights, especially a guy of his magnitude. I don't know, man. It's a fun fight to watch, though. It's one of those fights where you're like, oh, this would be cool. Like, that's a fun fight. That's one that's called fun. Mm-hmm. After this, there's no fun fights. Like Mousasi Weidman, that's not a fun fight. That's a fucking war. You know what I'm saying? Like Rumble versus DC, that's not a fun fight. That is mixed martial arts at its highest level. Thiago Alves, Patrick Cote, that's a fun one. Cool. For the pay-per-view, it's great. And then let's just go to the co-main event. So Chris Weidman versus Gegard Mousasi. Picking this fight, man, I've been going back and forth. I know on Fighting the Kid, I think I took Weidman. I go back and forth, man, back and forth. And what I do, I listen to his interviews. But before I come in here at night, last night and this morning, I listened to all his interviews, and I listened to Mousasi's interviews, I listen to his camp, I listen to other podcasts, I do all this stuff, and then I make a decision. But before I do any of that, I make my decision before I listen to all this other stuff. I just go based off what I know and what I think is going to happen. And from the jump, I've had Chris Weidman. And then after doing my research, I still have Chris Weidman. I would go, God, but Mousasi and this money thing, it's his last fight in his contract, and look at the guys he's beat. And I look at the guys he's beat, and I look in the UFC on who he's beat. And anytime he fights a top echelon guy, he doesn't beat him. He does not beat him. In the UFC. Outside UFC, he has some phenomenal wins, but you're talking about a different time, man. I don't care about that stuff. In the UFC, he beat Uriah Hall, who, Uriah Hall's not, he's not the cream of the crop. He beat an older Vitor Belfort, Thiago Santos, tough customers, Thals Lidis. But to compare those guys to Chris Weidman, Weidman walks through all those guys. And if you remember, he did beat Uriah Hall back in like his second fight ever, I think. And then you look at Chris Weidman. I look at what he's done, who he's beat. He beat Lyoto Machida. He beat Vitor Belfort, which he didn't look great in that Belfort fight. I thought he had some kind of issues there with technique and stuff like that in his game plan. And then the Luke Rockhold fight, I had him winning until he threw that bizarre spinning back kick, and then it was all downhill from there. I'd love to see that rematch again. I don't think that's an easy fight for Rockhold. And I actually had Weidman winning 2-1 before he got stopped in that fight, before that bullshit spinning back kick. So he loses that one. He made a huge error, technical error, throwing that back kick, and obviously was tired, but I definitely had him win the fight till then. That's fine. So he loses his belt. Then you get Yoel Romero. And the Yoel Romero fight, he was shoot on Yoel. Yoel's getting up. Again, he's winning that fight at UFC 205. He's winning that fight. He's shooting, and Yoel is giving him the leg, and he's popping back up. And you're thinking, God, that's weird, because Yoel is giving him his leg, and obviously it's not really hindering his game plan, but he was setting him up the whole time. And then he throws that fucking knee from Cuba, like a Cuban missile, and just knocks Weidman out. And we haven't seen Weidman get knocked out like that ever. Again, it's another issue as far as technique and game plan there. It wasn't a matter of Weidman being outclassed by anyone. I've never seen Weidman get outclassed. Name a fight he's been outclassed. World-class wrestler. He took down Yoel Romero, took down Rockhold. He took down Belfort, Machida, Anderson Silva, Munoz, Damian Maia. Remember he beat Damian Maia, man, on like a fucking 8-day notice, by the way. Like some weird shit. So I feel like if Weidman checks off all his boxes, he should win this fight. It's an insanely tough fight for him to win stylistically. But I just feel like Weidman has his back against the wall. And I'll bet on Weidman when his back's against the wall. I don't know why the picking fights are tough for him, man. But his back is against the wall, and I look at the shape he's in and the guys who he's been bringing to get ready for this fight. And the stories I hear out of Weidman's camp, the things he would do to these, I won't say these guys' name. No one likes that guy. But you're talking the cream de la cream, heavyweights, light heavyweights, and he's just ragdolling dudes. So I just feel like what he can't do is get lulled into Mousasi's slow, methodic pace and let Mousasi dictate when you're going to shoot, when you're going to fire off, when, you can't let him control the octagon. I think you got to go at Mousasi and make him fight. And I think Weidman's going to do that. I think he's going to mix up takedowns, and I think it's going to be a decision win for Weidman. And Mousasi, I wouldn't be surprised if it's his last fight in the UFC, because he's going to be surprised, especially after he loses this one. Even if he were to win it, he was going to be surprised what they offer him. But if he were to lose this one, Bellator would offer him a lot of money. Huge, way more money than the UFC would, I think. So I like Weidman, man. You look at the shape he's in and, who's buying for this camp. This is your fight of the night. If both guys want it that bad, this should be your fight of the night. You're not going to get a Woodley-Thompson type of fight where both guys are scared to pull the trigger. These fights are interesting because there's a lot of pressure on both guys. Weidman loses this one, he's going to 205, which there's some fun fights for him at 205, but 85 days are over. Mousasi loses this one, he's in Bellator, which isn't a bad thing, but you're not going to make the money. So when there's a lot of pressure on guys, they do one of two things. They either fight super hesitant, a la Woodley, Wonderboy, because they know each other, and they fight super, super hesitant, and you don't get the best fight, or it brings the freaking fire out of them, and you get a classic. I hope I'm right, and this is a classic. I'll take Weidman. Who you got?
I'm not even copping out here. I'm absolutely 50-50 on this. I have zero idea who's going to win this.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Like zero.
If gun to your head, you have to pick.
Gun to my head?
I have a gun to your mom's head.
Here's the thing.
Look, there's your mom. There's Mama Chin.
Weidman, goddammit.
All right, there you
but
go.
it's because he's like Skylar's buddy. He's a friend of the, that's why. That's the only reason why.
When it gets personal, it's tough to pick against them.
That's 50-50. I'm 100% 50-50 on this. But I do have a pick for the Cormier Rumble Johnson fight.
Dude, let's hear your pick first before I break it down.
Well, I'm basing it off stuff I've watched online and stuff like that, and I watched the embeddeds. For some reason, Rumble looks freaking good, sharp, alert, great, and Daniel Cormier looks just beaten. He looks
worn out.
Seriously,
really?
Yeah.
I don't watch any of those embedded or anything like that.
So I'm just judging off of that, yeah. And it's like after all the discussions here and everything, I'm just picking up on little things here and there that you guys say. I'm picking Rumble.
What's the before we get into the main event pick? What's the odds?
Let's check. Oh, let me refresh this because it changes. But right now it says Anthony Johnson minus 125.
Damn, Johnson's a favorite.
Yeah,
minus 125, plus 105 for DC. So it's almost like a pick 'em, but you have Johnson as a favorite. That means more people are betting on Johnson. I'm biting my nails because I'm nervous for these fights and these picks. Oh, Weidman. God
changed.
damn, look at Weidman.
plus 100.
Plus 100. Frick. All right. Where do we start? So I think with Johnson, the hardest hitter at light heavyweight, 100%. Hits like a Mack truck. Explain this to me, Chin. How else can Johnson win if he doesn't knock DC out in the first 2 rounds? Go.
I don't know. That's why I think he's going to knock him.
In the first 2 rounds?
I don't want to say that, though, but yeah.
Because is Anthony Johnson getting better? Maybe. Or is he just the same guy? He's training, so he's training harder. But he's not gonna out wrestle DC. He's not gonna out grind DC. He's not gonna embrace the grind, as DC's shirt says all the time, or that's his catchphrase. And also, how can DC win? When I think of this, I think, how can DC win? He could win by submission like he won last time. He could knock him out. He could just win by decision. He could break him. So there's a lot of ways DC can win. There's one way Johnson can win. And the only way Johnson can win is really, and to be fair, is in the first 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, that ass is DC's. So
first 3 rounds?
I'll say 3. I'm going to give him, he has that knockout power in the first 3 rounds. I'm going to give him third round. Even if DC's take him down over and over, I think even the third round he's dangerous. After that, he's screwed. The reason I cannot pick Anthony Johnson, I'm surprised he's the favorite. I really am. The reason I can't pick him is because I've seen him quit. I've seen him break. We saw the last fight. DC kind of warm out, got his back, choked him out. That Vitor Belfort fight, and that, maybe he's a new man. This is his time, and and it finally caught up to DC. DC's not that young. So just maybe if you guys are betting on this, so here's some reasons to bet on Anthony Johnson. And to your point, the reason to pick Anthony Johnson. DC is not young by any means. DC has more media obligations than ever before. He's on UFC Tonight. He's doing pay-per-view 3-man booth with Joe Rogan and John Anik. He's doing fight nights. He's all over. He's doing appearances. That worries me. And he's not young. He didn't have Cain Velasquez in this camp. Cain's been gone his entire camp. Luke hasn't been there a whole lot. So who's he training with getting this fight? Is he just getting in shape? That's tough, man, because Johnson, you need bigger bodies, explosive bodies to deal with. Who's DC lost to, though? John Jones, the best of all time. And a prime John Jones, best of all time. Went to decision, too. So I just feel like DC's IQ should win him this fight because he goes in and goes, all right, I just got to get in close and get this fool down and stay out of range. I'm either freaking nuts to nuts or I'm outside, but I'm not in that dangerous middleman land where I'm in that zone where he can land one of those atomic freaking hooks or uppercuts or whatever you want to do. God dang, that is a tough fight to pick. And I get it, man. I get it. Why people are picking Johnson. Beginning of the week, I picked Johnson.
You did?
I did. On Monday, I texted my boy Todd and was like, God, I'm taking Weidman and Johnson. He goes, really, Johnson? I went, yep. I just feel if we didn't see how this played out before, and that wasn't that long ago, if we didn't see how this played out before, I might be more prone to pick Johnson. I cannot pick against DC. I don't think Father Time catches up with DC yet. I'm not too worried about that. What I'm worried about is his media obligations not being focused.
I think I heard he took a month off from at least that show.
He stopped doing UFC Tonight, I think, like 6 weeks out.
Something like that. But I'm sure he has a lot of crap that he has to deal with, too. I mean, I'm just looking at what I saw. So my assessment is purely off just my instincts on what they look like and how they're acting on these.
Who's Anthony Johnson trained with?
The dude,
because the Black Zillions are out.
Tall white dude, Henry Hooft. He has his own gym now. Somewhere
Rumble does.
Oh no, Henry Hooft does.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then Rumble went to his camp.
Who like what wrestlers is he using?
I don't know. I can Google it.
That's a big question. Either way, I mean, you don't have to Google it. Mm-hmm. You can if you want. And their shit talking is terrible. It's so terrible. DC, no wrestling. I'm staying with Rumble Johnson. That's fun to say. Please don't do that. Yeah. And then DC admits he's training for John Jones in camp, not Rumble. How crazy is that? Former welterweight. What in the world? It's all good. It's going to be tough to find who he's working with. Cormier is Olympic wrestler. Johnson knockout artist of highest order. Yeah. I mean, either it's all good, man. But I'll take DC. So I got DC, who's an underdog. I got Weidman, who's an underdog as well. And you got... Should we bet something on this?
It's got to be something big then, right?
What do you think?
I already won a Bentley once.
You did get to drive the Bentley. What fight was that for?
Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz, Chael Sonnen.
We'll have to think of something. We'll have to. We'll have to do it. You have to pay up in Vegas, maybe, since we do the Big Brown Breakdown in Vegas.
Perfect.
Dinner or something?
I'm down, yeah. So I think the best thing to do is if I win, you buy dinner. If I lose, you don't have to buy dinner.
Deal. Deal, because Vegas can get tricky.
Perfect.
Boom. So there you go. UFC 210 is in the books for this breakdown. And Saturday night, I'll be missing it live. I think we're doing an early show in D.C., but still, the UFC start early in D.C. or in the East Coast. They start earlier, right? Or no, late. Because our show is at 7
later,
at the 9:30 Club in D.C. So maybe I'll see the main card, hopefully. But either way, I'll have my phone, so I'll be able to stay up on it, and I'll watch it on Sunday. But keep me posted, guys, and good luck with your bets. Again, I'm usually biased as fuck, but between this co-main event and main event, I'm not. So that's what I got for you guys. So good luck. And ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed those MMA events, world MMA events, UFC news, Bellator news. And without wasting any more of your time, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one, the only TJ Dillashaw. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from, I guess you say Denver, Colorado, to Los Angeles, sunny Los Angeles, and you could fit right in, my man. You got the tan, you got the sleeve, you got the shorts. One of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound, one of the best in the world. My boy, TJ Dillashaw. Thanks for coming in, man.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. When I saw on Instagram, someone tagged me because I've been balls deep into boxing lately, and Lomachenko is one of my favorites. And someone's like, Job, check it out, TJ with Lomachenko. I'm like, oh, shit, you're my boy.
Yeah.
And to me, it makes sense because Lomachenko, his movement is what makes him special. And obviously what makes you one of a kind is your movement. So when I clicked on that video, I was just like, I need to know more.
Yeah,
and I text you, I'm like, dude, Lomachenko, where are you at? Get in here.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's amazing. Not only just a boxer, but a person too. Like, for letting me come in. I mean, he's only 2 weeks out from a fight. He's letting me come
April
out.
9th, Sosa,
April
right?
8th, yeah, he's fighting Sosa. And he let me come in, work out with him, and, put me through some rounds, and it was amazing, dude. I mean,
how did it even come about, though? How's that? Because most guys, especially a UFC guy, boxing, especially the Conor Mayweather stuff, boxing guys are kind of like, forget those guys, man.
I felt that before. I felt that at Mayweather's gym. I remember going into Mayweather's gym before in Vegas and just feeling like, I feel like all these boxers want to rip my head off.
They don't take you serious.
Like that, yeah, exactly. But this all started, it's all about who you know. And just like in life, it's all about who you know. And so I have a buddy that manages Lomachenko. I was starting to help manage Lomachenko. And he had media day down here in Oxnard. And he was coming down for it. And he asked, so Lomachenko was going to do a 15-round sparring with 8 fresh guys on him coming in.
Jesus Christ.
And so they're like, yeah, man, let's let Dillashaw do a round. I was like, I'm out of shape. I've been coaching Ultimate Fighter. I've been kind of on vacation.
Look in shape.
I am now.
Yeah.
I tried to get in the best shape as possible. But fighting shape and boxing shape is completely different, But so I was like, yeah, I can do a round. Anybody can do a round, especially with Lomachenko. I'm not going to pass it up, Yeah, so I wasn't going to pass that situation up. And then, like I said, I'm completely out of shape. Nervous about it already, but it's like a round.
Yeah.
But I get called the next day, and my buddy's like, actually, they want you to come in 2 days earlier, and they want you to do 4 rounds with him. I'm like, obviously, yes.
All right. Yeah.
But again, real nervous about like me not being able to put everything together because I'm out of shape. I'm going to be like, I'll have a round in me, So that's kind of how it came about. It's just kind of knowing a buddy that's starting to manage him and getting put in the situation, and knowing who Lomachenko is. In my mind, the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world.
100%. Even though he's 7-1, he's the best in the world.
He's got like 300 amateur fights,
yes.
Yes. And so I wasn't going to pass up the opportunity. I jumped on it instantly, and so that's when I decided to plan my trip down to Southern California. I came down here for 2 weeks.
Oh wow! So that was kind of, you planned your trip around that
a little bit. Like I was already trying to come down to Southern California, work out with some new coaches, but because of the timing, I just jumped on it instantly.
So when you got into the gym with Lomachenko, Were your coaches there? Or you're just kind of a lone wolf on your own.
Yeah, my lone.
And did they open you with open arms? How'd it work?
They did, man. I mean, so I'd say Lomachenko's head trainer is his dad. Obviously, he was a little skeptical of bringing in an MMA fighter. He's like, dude, we're 2 weeks out from a fight, and you're going to bring in an MMA fighter. Like, who knows how this guy's controlled whatsoever, and like you're going to get cut. Well, of course, I completely understood, and so I walked on eggshells when I went in there, just making sure to be cool and whatever. And yeah, I mean, other than that, everyone else felt super cool.
What I don't think people realize is how professional UFC guys are, because we're worried about injuries too. You got boxers have to worry about injuries. They have headgear on, maybe a headbutt. Maybe a guy going too hard and he gets concussed. We have to worry about elbows, knees, takedowns, headbutts,
neck,
jiu-jitsu.
shoulder.
So especially if you're cream of the crop dude in the division, you don't get there by being a meathead and just powering through it.
Yeah.
So how are your rounds?
They were good, man. Well, so when I show up, like I know I'm doing 4 rounds. I was already nervous about it, but then we get into the ring. Like I'm warming up, he's wrapping his hands, doing everything, and I'm super nervous.
His English isn't good though, right?
It's okay enough to get across. I mean, he does all right. He understands everything I'm saying. Okay,
good.
And he can portray. I mean, he sees some openings he's helping me out with and stuff already. So. But when I get there, I'm warmed up. He's wrapping his hands. We're getting ready. Don't really say much to him. I'm real nervous about this whole situation. I'm sparring the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world, and I want to kind of show my worth. I want this relationship to continue. I want to be able to come and do more camps with this guy and put some time in with him. So I'm nervous about just like being able to hold my cardio and show that I got some worthiness to be in this ring with him, so that he'll want to call me back.
I'm nervous right now.
Yeah,
tell
dude,
this story,
dude. And then when we get into the ring, they make me put on a different headgear. Like I wear one without a bar. They make me switch it out to put someone else's headgear on. They make me wear like the big cup and everything, So that was a little awkward. But then they're like, all right, we're gonna do four 4-minute rounds with 30-second breaks.
God,
and I don't know any of this, dude. So, and this guy's a workhorse, man. I didn't know this till afterwards, but his cardio is insane.
Doesn't get tired.
No, and he's punches and bunches. Like he makes you uncomfortable the entire time.
Yes.
So
his 4-minute rounds, 30. That's insane.
And so a normal boxing rounds 3 minutes, minute break. You know, so just knew that this was going to be a hell of a sparring session. That I was going to be going through some emotions, but just to suck it up and know that I wanted to do the best I possibly could. I did good, man. I felt like. At first, like when I got done, like I got completely broke the last 2 rounds. So I'd say a round and a half, I did pretty good. Him trying to figure me out. I have some different movement, more different than a boxer. I like a different range. We sparred in a really small ring, and he just knew that I wanted a little bit more distance, and he just crowded me.
Crowded you the whole time?
Just crowded me so bad, and just punches and bunches.
And the angles, right? Was he doing the angle thing where he's switching?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes he would get the angle, and I almost feel like he was kind of like showing me the opening, but not taking advantage of it.
That's cool, though. That's cool,
like,
because that means he respects you to a certain point. Because if he would have just went in there and tried putting you away in that first round, you're like, dude, forget this, man.
Yeah, and my buddy was telling me that Lomachenko, like he goes hard in sparring.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, that's why when I saw your sparring with him, I'm like, man, I hope that worked out.
Yeah,
not mean that. That he dropped you or something like that. I don't care about that because you can hold your own. Mm-hmm. I was just worried that because, I mean, we know the stories about you too. You go hard too.
Of course,
I know he goes hard.
Yeah, I was just
but that's such a cool relationship.
Too hard so I didn't have to double leg him.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, don't get it twisted. I've told an Olympic boxer before that. I'm like, dude, if you start getting crazy, I'm gonna double leg your ass. Like that's my Hail Mary.
Exactly. I will have to beat your ass.
Yeah, don't get it twisted, man. I'll forget this box and beat the shit out of you.
Exactly.
So, but feeling each other out, that it's always weird, like that first round, because you kind of don't know how hard to go, but you don't want to seem like a walkover. You know what I'm saying? So it's like tough to carry that.
Absolutely. Like you want to be in there, be super respectful, like I said, but I want to show my worth that I'm worth being there, that I want him to call me back so I can give him some good looks. But actually, I feel like it made me better, touching and doing touch sparring and making sure like I'm seeing how hard he's going to go first before I go hard. Made me almost touch a little bit better and made my cardio last longer, made me relax a little bit. And for the first, like, when the sparring got done, I was like all down on myself because I got just the last 2 rounds just so tired.
Out of shape. Lomachenko, 2 weeks, or I'm saying he's fighting pretty soon here. Mm-hmm. Like it's God.
Yeah, so I was like I said, I was down on myself, but they filmed the entire thing, so I get to watch it afterwards. And I did good, man. The first round and a half, I did really good against him. Like I hit him more than he gets hit in his fights. Yeah, and so It was good, man. I mean, like I said, my distance is different. My switching to stances is different for him. I get the same kind of angles he does, and I think I surprised him. You know, I surprised a lot of guys at their camp as well as him himself. You know,
because I'm sure anyone who he's bringing in isn't moving like you move, because you have similar angles to him.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken a lot from him. You know, I've watched a lot of tape on him, and I like his movement, how he tries to get behind people and makes you turn into punches, as well as soon as you turn, he's out the other direction. So his movement's one of a kind, and I've tried to emulate it as much as I can in MMA. But like I said, the distance is completely different. You know?
And the guys that were going rounds after you, were they monsters too?
So he was going to do that on Friday. I got to go in on Wednesday. So I was supposed to be part of that Friday sparring and just do one round. And they're like, no, they want you to come in on Wednesday and just do a full private workout just with you, no cameras.
That's kind of cool.
No, I thought it was awesome, right? Other than me being out of shape.
Surprise! Let's do 4 of them, 30-second rest, 4-minute rounds.
Exactly, man.
That's a little shady, but it's whatever.
And
how did that? Is the door open for you guys to work together again?
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's priceless, my man.
From what I've heard, he would be willing to come out and help me out with this camp.
Dang.
So as long as I fly him out, bring him out, and house him and stuff, he'd be willing to work with me and show me some openings that he saw from sparring me with those 4 rounds, and just get more comfortable in the boxing range. You know?
And this is what. You know, I argue it all the time, and I'd love to sit in front of a boxing analyst and argue this too. But you know, that round, and you even mentioned it, like your angles and distance are so much different. Even Lomachenko, who's the very best in the world, granted he's fighting one of the very best MMA fighters in the world, it's just different for them. The distance, the angles, they're like, what? It's going to take a little while to figure out.
Yeah.
So when I say, you know, Floyd and Conor, it's not that big of a shit show because Conor's distant angles are so much different.
Yeah.
Now, if Conor goes in there and for this camp, he just focuses and goes, all right, I'm going to change my footing. I'm not going to get creative like I do in MMA, and I'm just going to box, he gets annihilated.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a while for Floyd, if Conor goes in there and does his thing, to get used to that. And that's why if Conor could land one of those crazy left hands from a weird angle, it's going to be trouble for Floyd. Dude, that's my only point. That it's not boxing versus boxing.
And that Conor's just so much bigger than him.
Way bigger.
Have you seen like Floyd and Conor next to each other? Dude, Floyd is tiny.
Tiny.
You know, and Conor's a big dude. I mean, he was killing himself to make 45s. I mean,
man.
At 170, he looked good. You know, he looked normal.
He looked bad. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, he's tiny. No, he's huge shoulders.
Yeah, so he's a big guy.
Yeah, and this just, I think gives my point even more weight because Lomachenko, TJ Dillashaw, even Lomachenko, it takes a little bit of that feeling out, just like, I haven't seen this before, man.
Yeah. You can tell, though, he's a smart guy and starts figuring things out.
Oh, yeah, he'll figure you out. He'll get you.
For sure. You can tell, like, because, I mean, his dad's his head coach. You know, I could tell he's a very smart fighter. Like, he could be a coach, I feel like, just by watching him and what he does. And telling my buddy some of the openings that I had on some things, you know, and he was taking some angles, and like I said, didn't take advantage of it super hard, which was awesome, you know, because he worked with me. He's just like the cardio he's got, because after we got done sparring, he probably did another 10 rounds of hard on the bag, and then he's juggling tennis balls and playing hacky sack,
animal,
and then doing like this mind game that's on the wall for reaction time, as well as kind of like almost like a mental workout. You know, man. He's got all these numbers that are mixed up all over a wall, and they have a bunch of different charts, and then you have to go through 1 through 25 as fast as you can, trying to find it. You know, so he's he's doing everything. Yeah,
I saw you eating like chicken kebab with Kovalev and Lomachenko.
Yeah.
How was Kovalev? He seems like a straight murder to me, just like ice cold.
Kind of, yes. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't. I wouldn't say he speaks the best English either, too. So it makes it even more like he's laughing, joking around with his buddies, but like, yeah, you kind of get that like serial killer like feel off of him, you know.
I mean, he killed a guy. Kovalev killed a guy. I don't know if you guys know that. Killed a guy in the ring. Yeah. True story.
Yeah, I mean, he's again, I mean, I thought he won his last fight, you know, so.
God, yeah, that was such a good fight. They're obviously doing the rematch. Because Kovalev and Lomachenko have the same manager, is that right?
Yeah.
And that's why that's all together? So you were just hanging out with those guys for a few days?
Yeah, Lomachenko's got a house up there in like Thousand Oaks, and he was working out in Oxnard. All those, I mean, even people you don't even know, like some Olympic caliber like gold medalists in their gym, the guys I can go spar with all the time. So I'm excited to make the connection because I think it'll be great for my career, and also just because I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I know, it's cool both ways. Do you feel like getting ready for Cody Garbrandt, which is your next fight, and obviously you just got done shooting the Ultimate Fighter, do you feel like this is going to help you? Just because I guess in a boxing aspect, Cody, has really good boxing. That's his background, including wrestling, and he's a power puncher. But he doesn't have the same angles as like a Lomachenko, I guess.
No, I think it's just getting
awareness and getting better overall, like yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, first of all, being a fan of Lomachenko was the biggest thing, and then also I'm trying to grow. I've been down here working with Perillo as well on my boxing, and just trying to get better inside the pocket, get better with distance. Just you can only worry about your opponent so much. If I go in there thinking like I got to learn how to box, so I'm going to go fight Cody Garbrandt, you're gonna play into his game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do whatever I can just to make myself a better martial artist and let him worry about me,
which seems
and my angles and my and as soon as I start worrying about my opponent too much, it messes with my head.
So, what brought you out to California? Obviously, Lomachenko. You get done with Ultimate Fighter. It's rare for a guy to step out of his kind of comfort zone because you have a great thing going on in Denver with Dwayne Ludwig and all the guys out there. Yeah. So now you're out here just looking for a different look because Perillo, to me, probably the best boxing coach in MMA by far. He doesn't get enough credit if you look at what he's done. And then, we'll get into who else you've seen, but...
Yeah, so I brought out some coaches for the Ultimate Fighter. I've been working a lot with Juan Archuleta. He's he's got 3 belts right now at King of the Cage, 155s, 145s, and 135s. Damn. And he's been helping me out with all my camps, so I've been coming out here and working with him as well. But I met a kind of like a nutritionist, strength and conditioning life coach almost out here as well that I've wanted to pick his brain and work with and see where I can make some gains in my diet and my conditioning and just all around everything, as well as come down and see Mark Munoz and work on some wrestling, work with Perillo on my boxing. Enjoy Southern California. I went to school at Fullerton for 5 years, so I have a lot of friends down here, and come down and enjoy the weather. Get my California tan back.
You're tan as shit. You're tanner than me. You got Little Brown on here. Who's this nutritionist, strength coach, life coach?
His name is Sam. His name is Sam Calavita. He's just one of the smartest guys I've met behind what I'm doing.
Where do you find this guy? Because as soon as someone says I have a new strength coach, he's the best. He's my when I hear movement coach, I feel like throwing up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always very wary of people like, no, he's the best ever.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't want to give out his name and what he does because he's like my new secret. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to talk about him too much because I think he's amazing, man. He's going to do great things with me, and I've already seen him do great things with many people in wrestling programs. I know he's been doing a lot of stuff for the Penn State program that he hasn't really been getting credit for because he's not an actual coach at Penn State, so they can't give him the credit.
So they outsource stuff to him?
Yeah, they wanted him to move out there and do his program with their wrestling team. So he grew up a wrestler. He coached his brother, Joey Calavita, awesome wrestler. Been around wrestling his whole life, and now he's a triathlete. He's been, for the last 12 years, transforming his body from being like 220 down to 160 and turning his body completely different with the chemistry and the way his body works. And he's doing it with science.
What's his background?
His background, I don't know exactly. I know he's a mathematician. He teaches calculus right now at a very good school. He's won some awards for his math skills, and I forget what his job was exactly. I can't quote me on it, so I don't want to put it out there what he's doing before. But he was in a very high end job that he quit to be a teacher so that he could be around his kids more.
That's cool.
He's got 9 kids.
God damn,
never leaves. He's done a bunch of triathlons. He's going to qualify for the Ironman in Kona.
Damn, he's a legit badass.
Oh, he's legit.
See, I love when guys walk the walk and talk the talk.
That's the best part about it.
I hate when a nutritionist or a life coach, some of these guys are talking to me, and I'm like, what have you done, though, man? You have no idea what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, and he knows how to train an athlete for what they need to do. He trains wrestlers, anaerobic athletes. He trains himself, which is a aerobic athlete for doing triathlons and stuff. And he's been training fighters now for a while. And he's worked with Mark Munoz. He's worked with a bunch of guys to where he understands the sport. And he knows how I need to push my body and just getting through some lactate threshold training. And seriously, like the hardest training I've ever done in my entire life. I've never the 4 or 5 workouts I've done with him. I've never done harder workouts ever in my life. But he's not making sure he's making sure that I'm making my other training around that as well. So if I'm having a hard sparring day, we're making sure we're doing that the same day I'm doing my hard day with him, so that I don't overwork myself. And we're tracking my body through my heart rate, and just through so many things that it's showing me it's not bro science. We're not just guessing like, oh, I feel good today, I'm gonna go work out. It's more like I know exactly when I should be doing my hard workouts. It's gonna be mapped out. Everything's gonna be wonderful. I mean, my mind's just been blown being down here for the last 2 weeks working with him. So
it sounds really cool. It sounds like too, like this guy obviously he's making an investment in you because he cares. And a guy at your level, it's like when I see a guy like Khabib miss weight, it drives me nuts because there's guys like this out there who are legit guys who could help you, man.
Yeah.
And for obviously you're investing in yourself. It's the best investment you can make. And at the level you're at, fighting a guy like Cody Garbrandt and who knows what's after that, you have, if any fighters listen to this, you look at TJ, man, one of the best in the world. He's out here, hired a new strength and conditioning coach, Lomachenko. Like, you could be fine staying in Denver and keep doing what you're doing.
I mean, I have a great strength and conditioning coach, Lauren Lindau in Denver, and I'm
That's my
going to
brother,
continue
man.
to work with him. But I mean, like you said, I'm getting outside of my comfort zone. I'm continuing to learn. I'm putting in positions to where, like, if you spar with the same guys all the time and you figure them out and you figure out their techniques, you can beat them up.
Yeah.
Right? But I want to get put in these situations. Like at King's MMA, I was wrestling with a Cuban Olympian, you know, and knowing that me going in there I have to be on my A game or otherwise I'm going to get beat up on.
It also gives you those same nerves as fighting almost when you're going with a guy like that.
Yeah, I mean, Lomachenko.
When's the last time you got those nerves in Denver?
It's been a long time.
It's gonna be tough.
But since I first got there,
Yeah,
and
it's
with
tough.
Corey Sandhagen,
Yeah,
I was looking to kick my head off, you know? But going to spar Lomachenko, I don't think I've been that nervous for a fight in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was for me, it was a very big opportunity. I mean, not only because I want this to continue, but just because I'm such a huge fan and a fan of the sport, as more so just him, so that I wanted to prove my worth. So I got more nervous for that than proving my worth inside the octagon.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Because you've proven
I'm
yourself
comfortable there.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It's cool, man. I think it's just anyone listening, you're literally you're testing yourself. And getting out of your comfort zone and constantly getting better because it's just going to make you better. It's not going to make you worse.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And with this new strength conditioning coach, we were talking off air, you're saying how your adrenal glands are kind of shot so you can't drink coffee.
I'm
out.
Yeah, I know.
I'm out, bro.
There's a lot of things. I don't even want to list all the things I'm doing. I don't want to give away all the secrets, but there's so many things I'm switching up on my diet. I mean, I'm trying to drink a lot less caffeine because I've put my body through so much stress. Like, I'm a type 4 metabolism right now, which is the worst.
Really?
I'm getting all my done. You want to be type 1, you know. And
what's type 4 mean? If you're type 4, I'm fucking type 7.
Well, no, it's just because of how hard I've pushed my body since I was 8 years old. I've been training in the red line since I was wrestling 8, you know, and cutting weight and just doing things the wrong way to where I put my body through so much stress that it's never allowed to really recover. I mean, I wake up in fight camp and I get out of bed and I'm like never excited to work out, but I do it because I'm mentally tough, you know.
Yeah.
But with the way I should be training now, I'm going to be feeling fresh, making good gains. And,
You train more like a professional, I'd say. Because not that you weren't before, but in fighting, the sense of losing will get you out of bed. The sense of being embarrassed will get you out of bed.
Yeah.
In the NBA, NFL, you know, these high level athletes, they're training like you train, man. Like they have the same fears and insecurities, but they have the resources where they're, they know not to go run 7 miles when they're worn out or whatever you're doing.
I mean, our sport's so new that it's still like a tough man competition.
It really is.
It's really like the old school kind of wrestling, like push through it, be tough, you know, just get up and do it kind of deal, you know. And now that we're getting a lot more science behind it and getting people that are, you know, trying to invest in their life and trying to make money outside and inside of the octagon, it's turning into more of a profession.
Yeah.
And we're getting these younger kids involved. And me meeting people like Sam Calavita has been a blessing, you know. And
yeah, I'd love to talk with that guy. So that's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I've switched up a lot of things, man. And so I've switched my diet up with the Ultimate Fighter. I've switched my diet up probably for about a month, which I usually outside of camp, like if I'm not working out, not in the gym, just like grinding, like I can put on some bad weight pretty quick. But
really?
I'm a guy that works out nonstop.
Yep.
So that's the reason why I'm able to keep my body the way I do. But being on Ultimate Fighter, I had no time to work out. Like, I thought it was gonna be cool. Yeah, I'll go to Vegas, I'll hit my own workouts, I'll help those guys work out, like I'll do all this stuff. But it was 7 days a week, 2 practices a day. On fight days, they're like 10, 12-hour days. Like, I had no time to work out.
You forget, too, you're shooting a TV show.
Yeah.
So you have that, and then you also have the interviews and this, and let's get this. We need a comment about this. What do you think about this? Yeah, people go in thinking, it's going to be fun. I'm a coach. No, you're shooting a TV show on top of everything else.
It was the most busy I've ever been. And so by switching my diet up with him, I was able to keep my physique. Not saying that I was in fight shape, but I was able to keep my physique and keep my weight to where I wanted it. And then
was there one big red flag in your diet where he's like, dude, you have to stop eating this?
I've always like made fun of people for gluten-free diets. You know what I mean? I've always just like, that's just hilarious.
Super LA thing, yeah.
Yeah. But to an extent, I mean, making it even going further than a gluten-free diet, I'm not eating any grains at all. Like, I'm not even eating like gluten-free bread, because the gluten-free bread's made with stuff that's not good for you as well, you know? So that's been the toughest, I think. Not
so you're almost like keto?
Yeah, pretty much. Kind of like keto.
You're the
I'm
keto kid now.
I'm not like putting I don't know if I'm putting my body into a ketogenic state or not, but it seems a lot like it. High fat, protein,
no grains, no bread.
No grains, no breads. Yeah,
that's pretty much.
Yeah, and I'm staying away from. I found out like some toxins I had in my body that I'm trying to get out of my system. That don't let your body be in homeostasis and produce like the best. Like let your body have the highest potential it could possibly work at.
Is that all through blood work?
Hair analysis and through saliva.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, and just tracking it, and even me being here just for the 2 weeks and seeing the gains I've made in the last 2 weeks is pretty eye opening for me, because seeing gains that quick to the level I'm at is a big deal.
Hell yeah, huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, 2%'s a big deal at your level.
Yeah.
Especially at the world championship level, it is. Yeah. I mean, 1%. You're talking about a game changer, man.
Yeah.
And if this guy's even changed it 1 or 2%, he's priceless. Mm-hmm. That's what people forget.
100%. I mean, that's why I was so intrigued when I met him. I mean, I only got to meet him so quick on the Ultimate Fighter, and I met him before I first started fighting. I was at a wrestling camp with Mark Munoz right when I graduated college. Mark Munoz has an awesome wrestling camp down in Carlsbad. I don't remember the name of it. But this Sam Calvita guy comes and does like motivational talks to everyone, because he's just a badass. I woke up, I think it was like probably 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm waking up to go help be a counselor at this camp. And I meet this guy riding in on his bicycle, like a road bike, like he's doing a triathlon. And Mark introduces him to me. I'm like, oh, nice. You going for a morning bike stroll, like, how's it going? Like, where'd you ride from? He's like, oh, you're from Yorba Linda. I was like, that took me like 2 hours to drive from Yorba Linda. And you just rode this morning on your bicycle to get down to Carlsbad, and then came in and put some guys through a workout and did a little motivational talk to him.
Just a monster.
Yeah, this guy's done everything. He puts himself through everything that I'm doing. He's 53 years old. He's qualifying for the Kona Ironman. He's legit.
9 kids too.
9
Don't forget
kids
that.
on a
9
teacher
kids.
salary.
Damn.
Yeah, man. So he's I've learned a lot of respect for the guy. I'm surrounding myself with really good people, and it's
experts. Sounds like what you're doing,
and not even just experts, but also just good people in life.
That's
like
huge.
It rubs off on you, and it makes you just even a better person. And I'm really excited about like where this is going to take me to. So.
Me too, man. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So you were training. So Lomachenko, this basically the Elon Musk of nutrition, strength conditioning dude, riding his bike all over the goddamn place.
That's a secret, all right? So don't talk about it.
We won't get that out. You can find him at. Just kidding. And then Perillo, what was it like? Did you work with Perillo at the Ruka gym?
Yeah, I went to Ruka gym's amazing, man. I mean, it was so cool.
Private gym.
Yeah. Did some sparring rounds down there as well. Jeremy Stevens is getting ready for his fights. So is Miles Jury. They got a bunch of other guys coming in and out of their training. But working with Perillo was awesome.
What makes him so good?
He, like you said, he's a good boxing coach for MMA. He understands the range and the distance and the angles of MMA, but keeping you be able to teach you boxing techniques, and keeping me tight inside the pocket, as well as moving the angles I still need to move, and just a new look, fresh look. And he's awesome on the mitts. He was a good fighter himself. He's just real aware, and when you're hitting mitts with him, it's not like you're doing, all right, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, and like, let's do it again. It's more fight reactive, reaction time kind of stuff, and hitting combos as soon as he's holding them up and hitting you back and holding you in good position. So
he's brilliant, man.
Yeah, he's good.
And he's a guy who I think he deserves more credit, but he doesn't want it.
No.
Like, you don't see him when one of his fighters win, jumping up and down like Perillo at PerilloBoxing.com or whatever, he's always back, he's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But what he's done with Bisping, Cyborg, I'm such a fan of the guy.
Yeah, I mean, so Dwayne saw the opening in Luke Rockhold like months before the fight happened too. And talking to Perillo and also seeing the fight go down, I was seeing Perillo like showing like, that was the left hook. I was telling you that was the left hook, because Rockhold kept dropping his right hand every time he threw a cross. Every time he threw his own cross, he would drop his right hand completely. And Perillo was good at seeing those things, because Rockhold was posting videos of sparring, of hitting mitts, all up to his fight, a bunch of them, and like you're able to see exactly what he does,
bad idea.
His tendencies, like all his bad habits he has. And they were able to game plan for that. And so to have a coach that's able to see that, like Dwayne seen it and so did Perillo. So I can see they're both kind of really into that, like OCD, pick apart your opponent. see the openings. They saw the opening and they took advantage of it, you know?
And with doing all this out here, how's Dwayne feel about it?
He's supportive, man. He wants me to do it. He's the one that like told me like I need to start working with other guys, you know, get uncomfortable, getting put in these positions so that, you know, I'm out of camp right now. You know, I'm able to do these learning curves and to work with new people. He's very supportive of it because he cares about me. You know, he cares about me as an athlete.
That's huge.
And cares about like my growth. And he knows by me learning from everyone. I mean, obviously, if someone's full of crap, he's going to tell me. He's like, yeah, that guy's full of shit. Don't listen to him.
You're working with the best of the best, so it's
and
hard
he knows
to argue,
that, you know. And so he's very, very supportive, and he's pushed me out here to do it. So,
which it just shows that you made the right decision going with Dwayne, because for those listeners out there that don't know sport, it's very, very uncommon for a coach to go, yeah, go do that.
Yeah.
Because they're so worried because, you know, they want the credit, or they don't want their fighter changing up or doing something that's out of their, you know, kind of
money in their
game plan.
pocket,
Yeah,
really,
man.
you know. Say for some reason I came down here, fell in love with the training, and told Dwayne like I'm moving, you know. Like,
see ya, man.
Yeah, so like a lot of trainers will be like, don't let guys train other places, or they have big ego. They want
They're
to be
insecure.
the big man on campus,
Yeah.
and they won't let you do it. But I'm around great people, you know. I'm around Dwayne Ludwig that wants me to move around. Elliot Marshall that you know learns from everyone. Elliot Marshall, when I go and learn from a new coach, and I come back and I teach it to him, he'll absorb it to his style if he likes it.
Love
you know, working with a new wrestling coach, Daryl Christian, that Elliot likes a lot because it goes a lot with his style too. You know, so just a lot of good things coming up, man. I mean,
So when you're going to go into camp when?
I'll probably start camp end of April, beginning of May.
Your fight's in July?
Yeah, it'll be this summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's been signed, so it'll
Yeah.
be this summer. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking most likely July.
Yeah.
That's the word on the street.
So then, yeah, that's what the word on the street is. So how will you incorporate these guys in California? Because that was the balance I had when I moved from Denver to here.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I love a lot of things out here. Let's see what I can do. And I was trying to play this balancing act. It was a little tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you want to kind of be set, you know,
Yeah.
especially when you're like 4 weeks out from the fight. So what I would do is I took my coach from similar way. Maybe you're gonna do it. I don't know, but I'll take my coach out in LA and then come to Denver for the last 4 weeks and have like my best coach in LA with me in Denver. But
Which, I mean, something
tough to figure out.
I'm going to have to invest some money into. You know, I'm a business myself. I'm the CEO of this business.
best investment you can make.
Best investment I can make is making myself better. I mean, obviously, I don't make millions of dollars to be able to put forward for all this stuff, but I make enough money to where I can invest the money I need to, and I'm willing to do what I need to hopefully get everyone together and see what I can do. You know, if I can bring Dwayne to Southern California, if I can bring some coaches. I mean, Daryl's already talking about how he'd love to come out to Denver and train me out there, which is the wrestling coach I've been working with. So, I mean, as much as I can mix it up, the better, you know? I mean,
Yeah, it's just about finding that balancing act.
whatever's going to make me feel the most comfortable in camp. And like I said, I feel like I have really good people around me that are going to be willing to want to do that for me because they care about me as a person, not about the paycheck I'm getting at the end of it, you know? Like, they're more worried about how I feel going into this fight and me getting my title back, you know? I mean, we all know that title's rightfully mine, and they want me to get it back and be on top.
And you honestly believe that, right? Because you and I even had, you know, I had you beating Dominic Cruz.
Yeah.
And then obviously Dominic Cruz gets the shot against Cody Garbrandt, right? And then obviously you and Cody have your history, which we'll go into. And so then, you know, then they toss you, which I told Dwayne, I told Leister, your old wrestling coach or head coach, I told Leister, I'm like, dude, Lineker, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, throw him a bone here. Like, here's this monster, the hardest hitting guy in the division. Oh, sorry, no title shot. Here's fucking Lineker. I was like, dude, it's so messed up, man. But then you took that and you just were like, I'm in a different class, man.
Yeah.
And you destroyed that boy. I mean, you literally tore him up. Yeah, me and Rogan were scared. I was like, dude, I'm scared for TJ. Like, I don't like this fight. We thought you were gonna win, but I was like, dude,
It's a dangerous fight.
It's what?
Yeah.
Might be one of the besides Cody and Dominic, it's fucking. They have different strengths.
Yeah.
But Lineker's right up there, by far the hardest hitter in the division.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Did you like? But this is what makes you special. Did you like? A lot of guys go, "Oh man, I'm getting fucked over." All right, and then they go in there, and worst case scenario, they lose. Or you go, "All right, dude, all right, man," and it's a chip on your shoulder. And you're like, "Watch this."
I definitely, as soon as the whole situation went down, felt like I was getting fucked over, you know? But it's how you deal with it.
I remember you're upset.
Oh, very upset. I mean, I was upset when I didn't get the instant rematch. I mean, I went in after I lost to Dominic Cruz to hear Lorenzo, Dana, and Shelby told me that they thought I won that fight. You know, I'm like, sweet.
Sweet, yeah, that means I was doing it again, yeah.
Yeah, I want to get this rematch,
Go
you know?
team, yeah.
But then they give it to Uriah Faber. And that was one thing, like, okay, whatever, I understood. Throw Uriah a bone. He's been around the sport forever. Him and Cruz have this beef. They're going to make some money off this fight. Okay,
good
whatever.
Story.
Go for it, right? They give me Rafael Cincel, number 1 ranked fighter other than myself, right? And so, tough fight. And also, I had a history with him because I got another split decision loss I felt like I shouldn't have, right? 2 of my 3 losses I feel like I shouldn't have gotten, and that was one of them. So I got to avenge that one. So I had a lot of history with him. So that was a good fight to get back.
You outclassed him in this rematch.
And so I beat him and instantly knew that was my shot to get my title. You know, I knew that was it.
He's ranked number 1?
Ranked number 1. I'm ranked number 1. He's ranked number 2. Cruz was the champ, you know. So that was it. I mean, one beats 2. I get the belt. And you tell me that I would beat Cruz. So, and then once again, I find out that Cody's ranked number 8, leapfrogs all of us to get the title shot. I was livid, you know. I was so pissed. And then they want me to fight John Lineker. Very, very, very just pissed off of what's going on, but you got to kind of roll with the punches. You can't let it bother you too much.
What else you gonna do?
I have no other choice. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't. If I want my belt back, I got to beat these guys. And I kind of took it as I'm taking the title fights. I still think I'm the champion. I beat Dominic Cruz. I'm fighting the number 1 ranked guys. He's fighting the number 8 ranked guys.
Yep.
And so I treated it as like I'm still a champion of the world. You know, that's the way I kind of put it in my head to make me feel good about it.
Smart.
You know? So yeah, I went in there and just kind of proved that Lineker didn't belong to where we were at. You know, Cruz had the worst night I've ever seen him have, as well as Cody had the best night he's ever had. You know, in my opinion.
You think that was the case there, or do you think Cody's that good?
Cody's good. He's talented. He's quick. You know, he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong.
You don't think he's the best in the world?
I don't think he's the best in the world. Not at all. I even picked in that fight going in because I've trained with Cody and I've obviously fought Cruz and watched Cruz a lot. I had Cruz was going to win that fight, which is being smart, but I've never seen Cruz fight emotional like I did see him that fight. He got tired. He stayed in the pocket. He was swinging so hard he was almost falling over, which I've never seen him do. Mm-hmm. He was really trying to knock Cody out because of the confrontation they had. And I thought it was Cruz getting in Cody's head. But Cody did a great job, man. He stayed composed and
he outclassed him. I've never seen Cruz get like outclassed.
Exactly.
I thought you beat him, but freaking Cody literally just it looked like Dom didn't belong there that night.
No, I know. It was surprising, man, especially for Cody being the hothead that he is. That I really thought like, oh, Dom's being super smart. He's having Jeremy Stevens get in his head. He's having his own guy himself get in his head, and Cody was stumbling over his words, couldn't even talk because he was so pissed off.
Yeah.
But getting in there, he was good, man. Cody's style worked out well for what Cruz brought to him. You know what I mean? He waited for him. He instead of chasing like I did the first 3 rounds, chasing Cruz all around the ring and trying to knock him out. I was trying to knock Cruz out those first 3 rounds. You know, still thinking I won 2 of those 3 rounds,
Correct.
And then the last 2 rounds I sit and waited for him. I started kicking his leg. I started waiting for him, and that's when I started really beating him up. And if I would have fought him that way the entire time, it would have been the same look of what Cody gave Dominic. He did a good job sitting there waiting for the openings because Cruz he's not like super tight and technical. Mm-hmm. He's funky.
Yeah.
And he uses his he's got great timing. He's got great conditioning.
Mixes it up.
He's got crazy movement that it's hard to deal with if you're not used to dealing with that. But if you sit and wait for him to see those openings, which, you know, Cody's a fast reactive fighter, it worked out for his benefit.
And obviously with this title fight between you and Cody and being on the Ultimate Fighter and being around each other, but it goes even more. It's a good story because, I mean, you guys were teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were teammates. And when you guys were training at Team Alpha Male, you guys were cool? You guys were training all the time together?
Yeah, we train all the time together. It wasn't like we were out like best friends hanging outside the gym other than that, but we were definitely training together. He was a very good look, good guy. When he first got to the gym, he was, I don't know, I forget how many fights he had when he got there, but he was undefeated, obviously, still at the time. And coming up at that time, I was teaching most of the classes when he got there. I was teaching the 3. I was teaching kickboxing classes and some of the pro classes in the morning. So I was coaching him a lot. You know, I was even holding mitts for him for for the first couple fights of his UFC fights. And he was fighting a southpaw, Marcus Brimage, and I remember holding mitts for him because he wanted to get more comfortable with fighting a southpaw. And so I definitely worked with the kid. You know, I had nothing against him. You know? So yeah, we were teammates.
I thought it was classy too when he beat Dom and you guys were backstage. And correct me if I'm wrong. You went up to him and went, "Hey, before all this crazy shit starts between us because we're fighting next.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, the goal in hand when you get in there is to be the champion of the world. You know, he just did it, and it was awesome. It was a great win. Cool story. And I want to congratulate on him. You know, I didn't have like beef with the guy.
You don't have bad blood, right?
No, I mean, he was talking some crap about me online. He was kind of, sticking up for Faber and doing that whole deal and be team alpha male versus everyone kind of thing, you know. But ultimately, it comes down to I need to congratulate the guy. I've sweat with him. He did a great job. And so, yeah, I knew it was going to get crazy.
Yeah.
I knew there's going to be so much crap going into this fight. And before it all started, before me and him had any animosity fighting each other, I wanted to congratulate
That's cool,
him.
man.
Yeah, of course.
Do you feel any pressure? Obviously, it's clear it was the right choice for you to leave Team Alpha Male because you became world champion and you're doing what you're doing now and you're back in the title picture and you beat Lineker and Assunção, and it's obviously the correct choice. And most people would agree you beat Dominic Cruz too. So you don't need validation there, but going into this fight, obviously Cody is Team Alpha Male to the fullest.
Yeah.
You're over here with Dwayne. Do you feel the pressure watch, this is the fight to prove this is the reason why I left. This is Team Alpha Male.
I mean, I guess maybe a little bit. Ultimately, the most pressure comes back from getting my belt back. But yeah, I guess there's always that a little bit, But I feel like more of the pressure's on them because they're the ones creating the situation.
Yeah,
I could care less.
Over here doing your thing.
Me and Dwayne are over having a good time doing whatever, and then for some reason, it's almost like a divorce relationship where one spouse just hates that other person for whatever reason it is and won't let it go. And I'm over here just enjoying my life.
Bitter ex.
It's such a bitter ex. So bad too. And when this Ultimate Fighter comes out, it's going to show it even more. Just so bitter, man. Crazy. Just I don't know why they're so obsessed with what I have going on in my life. Why does it bother you so much? You know what I mean? And I think
can't wait for this season.
I think
first time in a long time.
It's going to be a great season. It's going to get some good ratings. I'm excited for it. But I think it all just comes down to jealousy. It all started with Uriah being jealous, me having the belt, and then him hating Dwayne when I left. And, Cody was actually going to come out to Colorado and train with me. And he was in Jackson's training out in Jackson's Albuquerque. And Uriah instantly put a squash to it. And it's like, look, Dillashaw's leaving. You can't have you training everywhere, because he was so worried about kind of like that ego thing of people leaving camps and training other places. That's money out of his pocket.
Correct.
That's making his camp look bad. Less people are going to want to come there and train because we're going elsewhere. Yeah. So he put a squash to it. Cody is very influential. He gets influenced very easy by whoever is around him. And Uriah got in his ear and told him, look, this is what we need to do. It worked out for him. And things are great. He's world champ right now. But it's gonna be nice to get out there and embarrass him.
I bet, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I saw an interview Cody did. I'm a big fan of Cody too. I've always said that he's one of my favorites to watch, and I do think he is the next big thing in the UFC if they plan it right. And he did an interview, which to me it always scares me a little bit when I see stuff like this. And I'd say the same thing if Cody's sitting here, or if you did this interview where he goes, "Yeah, I want to be a 3-division champ, 125, 135, 145."
Yeah.
I'm like, my man, you have your biggest hurdle of all time ahead of you coming up here.
Yeah.
Like you gotta get through this, and then after that, who knows what would happen.
Yeah.
But you have a huge mountain to climb. That's like looking at Everest, like, this is cool. Now after I get done with that, I'm gonna go over here it's like, yeah, that's gonna be a fucking beast.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can get to that.
You got to get back down.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Let's get through this and then focus on that. But he wants to fight Mighty Mouse and then Jose Aldo. I'm like, yeesh.
Yeah. He's getting ahead of himself.
Yeah.
He's not gonna have a chance to. I'm telling you, this is gonna be my fight. This is a great story. I'm really excited and confident about this fight. And me and him both know. He can say all he wants and talk all the crap he wants, but he knows how practices went down. He knows how and practice is practice. That doesn't mean shit. It could go completely different in the fight, right? I mean,
practice
I gotta
does
be ready.
not mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. But for him to go out there and just think he's just the better fighter and just talk all this confident game, I know there's some weakness and some insecurities behind it. So it's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. This is, for me, I think it's probably my favorite matchup of the year that they've announced so far, because such a good fight and there's such a good story, and you guys' clash of styles and his footwork, your footwork, and then obviously he just outclassed Dominic Cruz, and and then you guys be the Ultimate Fighter. It's such a good story.
It's perfect, man. I mean, it's gonna be a lot of tension on this fight. I mean, I do think it's the biggest fight of the year.
Yeah, it's definitely up there for sure. And with and you can count on this or not. And this gossip is, it's always some bullshit. I saw his camp was saying TMZ offered them $50,000 for some footage of him and you sparring.
Yeah. So I've said it from day one. I was like, oh, you think you've knocked me out? And supposedly the worst thing you could have said is he has it on film, because I could care the fuck less. Put it out there.
Yeah.
I don't care. If you think you have it, which
practice.
I don't think he has it. I've never been knocked out in practice. So go ahead and put it out there if you do have it. And if you do put it out there, for some reason, I really did get knocked out and I can't remember it because I got hit so hard.
I mean, that'd be the hardest knockout of all time.
Of course, exactly. So really, they're just going to shoot themselves in the foot.
That's all just bullshit.
Yes. I mean, put it out there. I don't care.
Yeah.
You're not bothering me. Like Buzz Buckle's like, oh, it's like it's sparring in the gym, so it's sacred. I don't want to put it out there. Put it out there. Yeah. I'm saying it right here.
Do
I don't
it,
care.
son.
Yeah. TMZ ain't offering you shit. You guys aren't important. You know what I mean? Like, they're not offering you. It's all made up tabloids.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was real or not. I thought it was interesting. I'm like, why wouldn't they just put it out there?
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe they're waiting for something. I don't know.
Maybe waiting for the fight to get closer. But the thing is that there's no knockout. So
so there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Do you feel, we'll change a little bit here. So when Cody says, I want to be a 3-division champ, that's kind of you can't hate on him a little bit for that, because that's kind of the nature of the game now. Because you see guys, what Connor's doing, you see what GSP, Bisping, like it's a lot of entertainment now. There's a reason why you didn't get that direct rematch, because they're like, this Uriah Faber story's funner.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm not a big enough asshole. I need to be.
I think you're more of a sportsman competitor.
Yeah, I am not like a super colorful guy that's going to go out and make a jerk of himself. I try to be so when I'm done with this sport and I'm all done and said with it, and I look back at my career, I want to be able to like, look, man, I handled myself the way I wanted to. I didn't sell out. I was always respectful. I can go back and show my kids or show who I was as an athlete, and that means a lot to me. So, I mean, it might not be the most entertaining, but I feel like my fighting style is very entertaining. I'm always looking for the knockout, So if you don't like me for who I am outside the cage, hopefully you'll want to watch me fight. Love me or hate me, it doesn't really matter to me,
Yeah, but your fighting style is what I think the fans gravitate towards, and I think that should carry so much more weight than you being in Fast and Furious 9 and see him fight next weekend, or
I mean, it should carry more weight, but the world we live in now wants instant gratification. They want instant entertainment, and waiting up for my fight. If I'm not being super colorful, sometimes that doesn't make as much. It doesn't make tabloids. It doesn't make fake TMZ buyouts. So. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I'll get back there because I'm the best in the world, not because I talked my way into it.
Yeah, you become undeniable. And I think with the Ultimate Fighter, it's going to be good for you because, obviously I know you and a lot of our fans know you, but maybe the people that don't, they're like, yeah, it's TJ, the world champion, but hopefully, who knows how they're going to edit it, or maybe you went on the Ultimate Fighter and you're a complete dick. I have no idea. Just like did say,
switch the script.
Just mean as fuck to everybody.
Yeah, just chill, son, and everyone.
But sometimes it can, that Ultimate Fighter can either really help you, or like, oh my God, TJ's a good dude. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Or it completely backfires.
Yeah, man, if they show how it went down, which I think they will, because I didn't do anything to where they can make me look like a jerk. You know what I mean?
You just gotta be yourself. And
I was just myself the entire time, man. I had a good time doing it. It was a lot. I put so much work into it. I cared a lot because I came from the show.
Yeah,
I came from Ultimate Fighter 14, so I knew what these guys were in for. And it's a redemption season where they've already been in the house before. So I wanted to surpass their coaches that they've already had on the show. So I put a lot of work into it, and I think it's going to show, man.
Was it more of a challenge because the guys on the show knew what they're getting into? Because kind of the X factor when you go into it. Obviously, I was on the show too, finalist, and going into it, we were always on our toes because we've never been through that journey. You don't know what to expect.
It was harder, but it was also easier with some aspects. Some things were easier, some things were harder. You're getting guys that are experienced and kind of stuck in their way a little bit, so it's really hard to mold them. I mean, you gotta
because they're vets.
They're vets, yeah. They're all vets. They've all been on the Ultimate Fighter before, or fought in the UFC, or both, obviously. Yeah. And so you got to adapt to their style. Teach them what you want to teach them, but so you're going to make each fighter better at what they already do and kind of fix their holes a little bit, So you got to work with each fighter completely different to where if you're getting like a clean slate to where they just want to dive into your technique, you can teach them what you do and teach them all the same stuff, and hopefully whatever sticks. But I did a good job of breaking down each fighter, what they were good at, and doing individual practice with them. We did a lot of individual work. We started off with some teamwork. We had to start doing a lot of individual work. And, yeah, man, I mean, the easier part was the fact that they all knew how to cut weight. I didn't have to hold their hand doing that. You know, it wasn't like a guy coming in very inexperienced, doesn't know what he's doing cutting weight wise or nutrition. They all seem very professional on that aspect of it. So it was easier not having to hold someone's hand. Harder because I had to put more work in individualizing my workouts with the guys.
Because typically on the Ultimate Fighter, for you guys that don't know, it's usually newer guys who, you know, they're a sponge. They want to soak up everything you give them, especially if a guy like TJ Dillashaw, former champ, is there, #1 ranked guy in the world, and you bring your coaches, Dwayne Ludwig, you bring all these Mark Munoz, whoever you brought on, these world-class guys. Most of the guys coming on the show, they're 3-0, 2-0, 4-0.
Well, you were 0-0, right?
I had 3 fights.
3 fights?
Yep.
Yeah, I had 4.
Yeah, I had 3.
Yeah, I thought you came straight from football.
No.
I knew you had 3 fights?
3, yeah. 3 like clowns and
Yeah.
then went on there, yeah. But so for me, and I'm sure for you, like I was listening to everything.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
we had, you know, GSP's coach there and Rashad and all these guys, and I was just soaking up everything, man. So when you have these vets on, you know, I imagine it being tough because one of the reasons they're on this comeback show is because they're probably pretty stuck in their ways. Otherwise, there's nothing to come back from.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of the guys have like 60 fights.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
hey, man, when you do this, try this. He's like, what?
Yeah. I mean, Joe Stevens, he was in the UFC when it was, you know, like when I was watching the first Ultimate Fight. I mean, he was on the
Joe
was he on the
Daddy was
first or
season
second?
1.
Yeah, season 1
Season
Ultimate
1.
Fighter. You know, crazy. And I'm having to teach him on season 25. You know, and then Jesse Taylor, I wrestled with him at Cal State Fullerton,
man.
and he was he's got like, I don't know, 50 fights.
A lot.
Yeah.
Man, so the winner of that show gets obviously back in the UFC.
It's
how's
bigger.
it
They're
work?
getting $300,000.
They get $300,000 just a check.
Yeah,
and
also,
a UFC.
Each fight's worth more. So every fight they fight in is worth $10,000. Every finish they get was worth $5,000, and then at the end of it, they get it all adds up to when they win that last fight. It all adds up to like $290,000, a check that they're going to get.
If you get to the final,
if you win the finals,
Oh,
when you
wow.
win that fight, I'm sure you get paid obviously to fight in the finals. I don't know how much,
Yeah.
but I know if you win the whole tournament, I think you win $290,000 without the bonuses.
that's cool because that, you know, these are vets, and you know they could have been not an Ultimate Fighter, making a living fighting in whatever organization they're in. So that's smart, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know if I was supposed to say that, but
We,
but yeah, it's
we
fine.
can edit if you can
Yeah,
try.
I
If you can't, we'll edit this part for sure.
Okay.
But it's cool
Well, yeah,
that they're doing
I'm
that.
sure that, and they're also going to get back into the UFC too, get back to where they think they belong, right? So
Yeah, that is
yeah, I mean,
interesting.
James Krause is on the show, and he's still in the UFC. You know, so it doesn't make sense. So you're not really fighting for a contract.
It's more of a tournament.
It's a tournament. It's a straight up tournament to win some money. So I mean, it can't be that secret. I mean, you're not winning. You're not fighting for a contract.
Yeah,
you're
no.
fighting for money.
Yeah, you're fighting for money.
to feed your family. You know, I mean, because before
It's
was
a tournament. That's all it is.
Yeah, before it was a 3-year contract, $100,000, right? That's not the greatest contract. But these guys are fighting for some real deal cash. I mean, they're making, you know, they're doing 6 weeks of fighting and then obviously do their last camp for the finals to make $300,000. That's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. It's a cool concept.
Yeah.
They need to do something. This is good to mix it up.
Yeah, this is going to be a great season, man. It's going to be really good.
When's it start? When's it air?
April 19th is when it airs.
Oh, man, pretty soon here.
Yeah.
That'll be fun, man. Well, it needed this kind of new blood. Like I said, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on, brother. I know you're busy. When I saw you in Lomachenko, you know, we're shooting this. This is, you know, a Saturday. I'm like, dude, you tell me when you can come in and let's get it done, man, because I always love having you on, man. You're one of my favorites, and I just think I'm so excited for this fight, man. I love seeing you do this new stuff and mixing it up, and I think any fighter listening, it's like TJ Dillashaw's doing this. What are you doing to get better, man?
Yeah, man, I think you hit the nail on the head is get out of your comfort zone. Don't work with the same guy to a fault. You know what I mean? Don't be so into like what you're doing day in and day out, the exact same stuff all the time that's all you know. You know, I mean, I'm trying to learn as much as I possibly. Everyone's got something to teach.
Yep.
Even if it's something that you're not going to ever use and you let it go in one ear out the other, everyone's got something to teach, And most of the time it's something that you can take in, at least one little thing, you know, and adapt it to your own style and learn from everyone, you know, learn from different wrestling coaches, learn from different striking coaches, learn from new nutritionists and strength conditioning coaches, and combine them together, because not every one person's program is going to work perfect for you.
Correct.
You know? And so I feel like that's what I've done my whole entire career, and it's paid off. I've learned from a lot of people. I've trained with a lot. I mean, I go up to Montreal and train at TriStar with Faraz, and go up with George St. Pierre before my Sincel fight. You know, I've traveled the world and trained with a lot of good people. So it's definitely something I feel was able to get me to where I was at so fast. You know, I mean, I was only fighting 4 years when I won a world title.
Yeah, you didn't have a lot of fights either. Yeah. Well, you're doing it right, brother, and I can't thank you enough for spending your one Saturday here.
Of course. Anytime to talk about Lomachenko and fighting, man. I mean, hopefully we'll get to talk about it more. Hopefully he's going to come down and help me out with my camp.
Dude,
you know,
that'd be great, man.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, I couldn't ask for something better. I mean, it'd be amazing. So.
And Lomachenko fights, I think is it April 8th or April 9th?
April 8th, yeah.
That's on HBO.
Yep. Yeah, he's fighting Jason Sosa, which is way too slow for Lomachenko. I've been watching some of the tape on him. They're fighting in a big venue out in the casino in Maryland, I believe it is.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Love it, brother. Well, I can't thank you enough, man. And tell my boys back in Denver.
I will.
I miss them.
Of course.
All right, man. TJ Dillashaw, everybody. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. TJ Dillashaw, one of the finest in the fight business. Just remarkable stories, and I'm just excited for that guy's future. He has a huge fight against Cody Garbrandt. I hope it's on that mega UFC 213 July card. That's what I'm hoping. So hopefully they get that done. And another fun episode of the Big Brown Breakdown. As usual, I can't thank you guys enough for making this podcast what it is. I keep doing them because you guys are listening to them. I enjoy doing them for that reason. And the live shows are ramping up. We have one in April 27th at La Jolla at the Comedy Store, which is sold out. And then that next week, May 3rd, I'm back at the Ice House in Pasadena doing a Big Brown Breakdown for that huge UFC that following weekend. And also for Canelo and Chavez Jr. That's at the Ice House in Pasadena, May 3rd. And tickets are for sale right now at tfatk.com and at the Ice House website as well. And then the biggie is May 4th, the next day. We busy. The next day, May 4th in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Hard Rock Hotel. One show only, and is the Big Brown Breakdown. Canelo Alvarez and Chavez Jr. plus the big UFC the following weekend breakdown as well. I'm bringing jokes. I'm breaking down fights. Put on a show, bring your ass, bring your girl, bring your friend's friend, bring your girl's friend, whatever you got to do. Get tickets now, tfatk.com. As usual, bigger, browner, better. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. I'm out.